Welcome to the Bridging the Generation podcast. I'm your host, Malak Arif, and today we have a very, very special guest. My next guest is a member of the fifth highest selling R&B group of all time with over 60 million records sold, 7 number one hits, and 15 top 20 hits, countless Grammy nominations, and she later linked up with Raphael Saadiq and Ali Shaheed Muhammad to form another super group and continue to make classics. With all that being said, it is an honor and a privilege to welcome to the Bridging the Generation podcast the beautiful, the sexy, the talented Dawn Robinson of En Vogue and Lucy Pearl. Let's go. How are you doing today?
I am doing amazing. I really am. Life is good.
You look beautiful. Good. You look beautiful. I want to say this. I've been a lifelong fan. Ever since you guys came out, I have been totally attached to your movement. And wow. I see that you're doing a lot of runs. You're doing a lot of interviews.
Oh my God!
Talk to me about that. What is going on?
It's crazy. I can't. It's amazing. Like I was telling someone the other day that I would have to pay a publicist or a PR person I would have to pay them so much money to set up all these interviews. I'm really grateful. And a lot of the interviewers, the podcasts that I've been doing, they're like, well, I don't have a huge following and I don't have a lot of followers on my page and I'm brand new. I'm just starting out. And I'm like, you know what? If there's 2 people on your page, those 2 people tell 2 people, tell 2 people. The fact that you want to talk to me, I'm grateful for. It's not like I have a new project dropping or, I'm in a movie or like last year was our reunion. And if we came together to do a reunion, I can understand people wanting to talk to me. But fans are like crazy about En Vogue and crazy about what I did with Lucy Pearl. And they just want to talk to me. So I am loving life right now. I'm rebuilding my career brick by brick on my own. Right? It's just that way. And it's crazy because I could not have imagined this. I really couldn't. It's funny how it's all coming together in a way that I didn't expect. That's just kind of like how God works. It's a universe thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, like I said, I had to get that out the way because I've been saying, I'm like, wow, Miss Robinson is doing a lot. Dawn. I'm sorry. You gotta excuse me. I'm old school.
I'm old. Okay?
I know you look younger than me. You look younger than me. First of all.
Wow.
You look younger than me, and so again.
Thank you, that means a lot. Thank you.
No, you look amazing. You look amazing. Look as good as you look when you came out back in 1990.
Wow. Okay,
yes.
Wow. Did you have a little bit to drink today?
No. See, you got to. Listen. I'm not a spring chicken either. I'm not no spring chicken either. So
Prince always said you're only as old as you feel. Age is a number, and I don't bother with ages. Because the universe, the planet itself is billions of years old. So in comparison, I'm just like I'm still young, and that's how I feel. I don't call myself. I'm no spring chicken. I don't say stuff like that because I'm serious. What we say with our words, our subconscious hears it. So I'm really, really conscious of that stuff. I'm aware of what I say, even in joke. Even in jest, when you say, "No, I'm not a spring chicken." Okay. Your body doesn't know the difference. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between a joke or a truth. So I don't play.
That is something to rethink.
It's true. Yeah.
That is something to rethink, and I appreciate the advice. It's something for me to think about. So look, Dawn.
Yes.
Let's start from the beginning because I feel like you have a very interesting story. I don't want to keep you here all night. but I do, being a diehard Lucy Pearl and En Vogue fan, En Vogue, Lucy Pearl fan, however people want to slice it and dice it, I want to go back to the beginning because I vividly remember when you guys came out. Some of the fans may not remember, some do. So I want to go back to the beginning. Where exactly are you from?
I'm from New London. So sorry, I'm still adjusting.
It's okay.
I'm from London, Connecticut, and when I did the audition with En Vogue, my mother had we drove across country to move to Oakland, California, and I was, I don't know, maybe 6 years in the Bay Area by the time the audition happened. So it was after high school. It was about 3 years after high school. And I graduated late because I got held back because of attendance. So I was probably, I think I was 20 when En Vogue, the audition happened, and then 21 by the time the album dropped. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me how it was. So you pretty much spent your formative years in the Bay Area.
My formative years, I would say no, until 14. We moved to California when I was 14. So my formative years, early years, I should say, elementary school, preschool, and all that stuff were in New London. Okay. And then moved to California when I was 14 years old.
Okay. So how was it? What was some of your earliest musical influences? Just being from Connecticut and, moving to the Bay Area.
Oh, my goodness. It runs the gamut. My parents are very diverse people. And I tell my mom all the time, I've said it in so many interviews as well, I'm so grateful that my mother was not the Black woman that said, you can only jazz or soul in this household. My dad she brought all that in. Right. Together, they loved that same music together. But my dad also brought roll. He brought bluegrass. My dad was really, really eclectic. So, and my mother loved the Eagles. She loved the Rolling Stones just because my dad brought it in. It was great music. She brought in the Beatles and Led Zeppelin and Crosby, Stills and Nash, and they just really together had an eclectic background musically. So I grew up with all that in the house. Seriously, there's a photo of me on my Facebook page, and I'm 4 years old. My mom said, and behind me in the chair that I'm sitting in is the Abbey Road album by the Beatles. I'm sorry, Abbey Road. Is it Abbey Road? Because they're walking across the street, so I think it's Abbey Road.
Abbey Road. That's Abbey Road.
Yeah.
That's Abbey Road.
So that's how I grew up, and I'm just grateful that they were like that, because I hate it when people say you can only do a certain thing in the household. You're stopping your children from becoming who they want to be. Shutting them down because you want them to be like you. Right. As opposed to being themselves. So I'm grateful. I tell them all the time, thank you both. Well, my dad's passed on, but every time I hear the Beatles, I'm like, hey, Dad. If I'm in the grocery store and I hear the Beatles, I used to run from it. When he first passed away 6 years ago, I would be like, oh, my God, I can't listen to this. And I put down whatever was in my hands, go to the car, and I cry it out, and then I come back in. Yeah, and now I'm just like, when I hear something that I know he loved or it's him, I'm like, hey, Dad, because I know that's him. He's sharing his moment with me, telling me that he's there for me. No doubt. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate it. It's interesting now hearing the music that you later did with En Vogue and Lucy Pearl. I can see where the influence come from, because there was certain times in En Vogue's music, and we're going to get into that. But there were certain times within your career, within En Vogue's career, that I was like, wow, this is different. This is not traditional rhythm and blues. Right. And we're going to talk about that later. But now I see where a lot of that came from. So look, let's get into it. You're in the Bay Area, and you meet. Tell me how the ladies came together. How Maxine and Terry and Cindy. How did all of you guys meet? We met at an audition. I was at a concert, randomly at a concert, and with my friend Kim from high school. A guy saw us, and he basically called out and said, hey, excuse me, are you a model? And when I turned around, we both turned around and looked at him, and we both ignored him. Completely ignored him. And we went we were going to try to go to the restroom, but the line was too long. We went to get some popcorn, a drink or whatever, and we came back, and he was still standing there. Malak, when I tell you that was God, because I was so rude to him. I didn't even answer his question and just say, no, I'm not a model. That would have been like, yeah. And I just basically blew him off.
Right.
Went to get our stuff, came back 20 minutes later or so, and he was still standing there. When I say that was a God moment, I mean it, because he really could have just like, okay, that bitch is like rude. You know what I mean? Because I was rude to him, and so was my friend. We were both rude, and he was still standing there. And you're talking about, 22 to 25,000 people, and most of which were women, because it was cover girls that were performing that year. Sweet Sensation, Expose, Stevie B. So it was more female to male, as far as the genre, as far as demographically, and yeah. And he was still standing there. So when we came back, this time we're facing him. And he said, excuse me, I'm the guy who just asked you if you were a model. And I said, I am not a model. Whatever. Like, I was so rude.
It really sticks to you to this day. It's still, you still think about that, huh?
I told him after he got me in the group, I was like, JR, you were so patient with me. Thank you, God, for being patient. Because he could have literally, when I played him off the first time, he could have went and 25,000 people there. Like, come on, he could have found women anywhere. There's so many, there's so much talent in the Bay Area. You're talking about Rosie Gaines, who did Diamonds and Pearls with Prince, Tower of Power, Journey, Sly and the Family Stone, Tupac, Santana, Tupac, all these people that come from the Bay. Journey.
See, hold on. Let me stop you for a second, Miss Dawn. Let me stop you for a second, Dawn.
Yeah.
I was going to mention all of those bands, but you told me, I was going to ask you, like, what were some of your influences growing up in Oakland, but knowing that you spent your formative years in Connecticut, so I pushed back on those questions, but it seems like you were influenced by those artists like Sheila E., Santana, Journey. So, I'm just putting that out there.
I was, but besides them, of course, those are from the Bay Area. I was just making that point, because there were a lot of female singers that I did background work with in the Bay Area because I was a kid. So growing up, I would say probably my first studio session, I was 16, and I sang background for a woman named Jackie Anderson, and Jackie Anderson is in stocking feet. 5'11". She's Native American and Black. Her hair was literally, she would sit on her hair. When she would sit down, she'd pull her hair up.
Wow.
Pull it up. Yeah. So she didn't sit on, beautiful, absolutely drop dead gorgeous woman. And she could sing her ass off. And I sang background for her in the studio many times. So it's like she could have auditioned for the group. Like I said, Rosie Gaines, or even you mentioned Sheila E. If you're looking for a girl group, Sheila E. probably wouldn't have done it because she comes from an iconic family, and she had done her own thing as well. And I think at that time, Glamorous Life was maybe 3 years prior, so she wouldn't have done that most likely, but she could have. Her sister Zena, I think Zena was a singer as well. So there's a lot of women that are in the Bay Area that could have done this audition and gotten in my position. And I just thank JR for being patient that day, like I said, and not going around to find someone else who was like, okay, do you sing? Do you sing? There's a bunch of women there that day and at that concert. So I just know that it was God. There's certain things when you look back in your life, you're like, wow, I got through that. I made it through that situation. That was God. That car accident that you walked away from.
Right.
Yeah. So I know that it was him in that situation. But yeah, so that's how we met. And that's how he said, my friends are doing an audition. They want 3 girls. He came to my parents' house 2 days later to see if I actually had talent. Because it's one thing to have a look, but he wanted to know, okay, before I tell you to go to my audition, my friend's audition, I need to know if you actually can sing. And he came to my parents' house, and sure enough, I sang Been So Long and Rapture by Anita Baker, and he was like, yep, you're in. Now, that was as far as he was concerned. But then when I had to still go to the audition and do my thing, and yes, so the day of the audition, we all met there. Terry was late because of bad weather coming out of Houston. And Maxine, Cindy, and I, and another girl named Jordana, who was actually Maxine's roommate, who did not tell her about the audition that day. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, Maxine, somebody else told her about the audition, and she ended up there. So
I don't even want to get into that. That's crazy. I had no idea.
When Maxine woke
wild.
up that morning, she saw her roommate was getting ready. She's like, "Where are you going? It's early." And she said, "I have a few errands to run, but I'm going to an audition later today." And she didn't say, "Do you want to come with me?" Yeah, exactly. This is where it's at. You should show up as well. No, none of that. But Maxine made it in the group anyway. That was God. She didn't need her roommate to tell her anything.
She was blocking, trying to block a blessing.
She was trying to
block a blessing.
She was trying to, but she didn't. It didn't work.
Okay, so look, let's fast forward a little bit. Now you guys end up linking up with Denzel Foster and Thomas McElroy, and they used to work. At the time, they was working with Club Nouveau. They was working with fellow Bay Area natives, Tony Tone. So what led you to linking with them? What brought you to their attention?
Well, like I said, the audition. They were the ones who held the audition. Yeah, they're the ones who held the audition.
Oh, they were holding the audition.
Exactly. Yeah.
I didn't hear the names. I apologize for that.
When the guy at the concert said his friends were, I didn't say them, so you were right. You were on it.
Oh, okay.
When he said
that, I was like, oh my God.
When he said my friends are doing an audition,
okay,
those were the friends that he was talking about. Those two guys, yeah, Denzel Foster and Thomas McElroy. And so,
were you familiar? Were you familiar with their work?
I wasn't familiar at all. He didn't say Club Nouveau because that was years prior. He didn't say Tony. If he did, I missed that because they were no longer with them by the time we did the audition. So okay. Tony had left. They had gone and done another deal someplace else. They got out of their deal with Denny and Tommy, so they were no longer signed to them.
Right.
By the time we did the audition, and who else? Club Nouveau and all of that was over as well. Club Nouveau and also it was Club Nouveau and it was another group that they did. Timex Social Club.
I forgot about yeah. Rumors. They did Rumors with Timex Social Club and Lean on Me with Club Nouveau.
Lean on Me, exactly. Jealousy, Situation Number 9, all that.
Look at you.
So, well, I better know those songs. I mean, I'm from the Bay too, and yes, so they were big songs, and but they weren't as big as En Vogue. I got to say that. So they had a lot of success before us, but not as big. En Vogue took them to another level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I heard that they wanted to make you guys out into the reason one of the reasons that they like you, that they love what they saw and heard from you guys. They were trying to create something similar in the same vein as like Martha Vandellas and the Supremes. How did you guys feel about that?
No, they weren't trying. I mean, they just wanted a girl group. So in that sense, you're going to be compared with the other groups that came prior. That's just natural. But they weren't trying to say, they didn't say to us, we're trying to create a group like this or like that. They wanted us to be ourselves. It was never about, it was never about us being like anybody else. We had our own unique, I mean, if you just listen to Hold On even, it was so different. Our sound, our acapella coming into the beat was like, it had never happened before. I think the Andrews Sisters might have a song where they start off a cappella, but you wouldn't know it. I mean, you're talking about, that was what, the 30s and 40s. So by the time it got to us in the 90s, we didn't know anything, but we knew Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy, but we didn't know any more of their music. I didn't know. Maybe Cindy did. Cindy was very eclectic that way. She would really she loved show tunes, movie show tunes and stuff like that. So she may have known other songs by the Andrews Sisters, but all I knew was Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy. So there was nothing like us. There was no acapella coming into the beat. That was just so new and so rare and so different, I
remember I believe before you guys coming out of the Bay Area, I think the last female or girl group you guys had was like the Pointer Sisters.
Just before us, you mean?
Yeah. Before, there was like a guy, I don't let that had the success that you guys had. Let me say that.
No, there's a lot of groups in the 80s that did. They just weren't black groups.
No. That's what. No. Girl, R&B groups.
That had this,
right. Yes.
Well, you also had the Good Girls. The Good Girls came out before us. So
but
Sweet
they didn't have
My Weakness. That was a single. It was successful. I can't take that from them. And
we talk about Pointer Sister success though, Dawn. Like the Pointer Sisters were.
You cannot.
I'm not, Dawn. I'm not doing that. The Good Girls was excellent. I love their music, but the Pointer Sisters and you guys were mega stars. We can't sugarcoat that either.
Well, I'm not sugarcoating it. You're just ignoring a group that came before us. Okay. Literally, like today.
No, I like the Good Girls. They good. I'm sorry, Dawn. I apologize.
Don't be sorry. I'm not going to take something away from someone that actually had success. That's all.
You're right.
And you're
right.
You're good.
You're right. You're right.
Okay. I just talked to them today, DeMonica and Joyce, and I said hello to them because they were doing another interview. And I said, oh, I have an interview today too. So I'm not going to. I hear what
I understand.
You're saying. I got you vocally. Yes, I got you on that. You're absolutely right. We're on the same page with that. Because vocally, the Pointer Sisters, I don't know if they crossed over. They did. They crossed over.
Big time.
With
automatic and Autumn's. And, I'm so excited.
Fire. I'm so excited.
Fire. Those songs were smashes.
Yeah.
Those songs were smash.
So
but that's it. I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. So look.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward a little bit. You guys, how did you guys end up getting signed with Atlantic Records?
Oh my goodness, we got Denny and Tommy had the deal.
Okay.
So they were the ones who brought us to. They had it. So they got a, I want to say, a budget, a 5-act deal with Atlantic Records. And Sylvia Ron at Atlantic Records said, I'm giving you a budget to get 5 acts. So out of those 5 acts, Denny and Tommy, I don't think she said, I want a group, I wanted this, I wanted that. She just said, just get 5 acts. And I think they had a guy and girl rap duo called To Be Continued, which I thought was such a clever name. It was a guy and a girl. And then they had a solo female, a solo male, the guy and the girl rap group, and then a girl group, which was us. And I forgot who else they had, the 5th act that they had, but so they created us. We were the biggest, or I should say the most successful artists out of all the 5 groups the 5 acts that they had.
Right.
So that's how we got to Atlantic, because they literally, when they did the audition for us, they already had the deal in place.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I know
I got to throw this in, Malak, too.
No problem. Go ahead.
Well, you said R&B groups, because I was thinking Sweet Sensation, Cover Girl. Sweet Sensation is a black group, aren't they black?
But this is what I'm saying, Don. This is what I want. Like I understand what you're saying, but the Sweet Sensation and the Good Girls, the Cover Girl, they didn't have the crossover success that you guys had.
I brought that up, but okay, but they still had success.
No.
You didn't say there were
that's true
that were as successful as in Vogue.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, I know. That's what you're right. That's what I meant to say. I stand corrected. That's what I was trying to say. So there
were a lot of groups, actually girl groups in the 80s, like the Bangles, the Go-Go's, but they weren't black. They weren't R&B. Right. So you're absolutely right on that part. Yeah. So I just
okay, Dawn. Hey, I don't want look. I don't want to. You the funky diva out here. I want no problem.
I was just making it clear. I can't.
I remember the Good Girls. Like I still have that CD. Just like I still have, Born to Sing. I have all of that music. I love. They were signed to. They were signed to Motown, and I remember all of that. Okay. It's all love over here, Don. It's all love. So look, here we are. It's 1990, and you guys dropped Born to Sing. And one of the first things that I realized when you guys came out was like, these women are drop dead gorgeous, and these women have voices that were like no other at that time.
Well,
in my opinion, as a young man, I can only tell you how I felt as a young man. And
of course, that's your point of view.
This is my POV.
Yeah.
And I remember just hearing "Hold On," and I was just totally blown away. Like, what was it like when when the guys brought you guys that song? Like, what were going through your minds when they said, like, this is what is going to be, one of the, lead singles? How did that, walk me through that?
Hold On? You said
yes.
Hold On?
Yes.
It's funny. They didn't bring Hold On in the way that the world heard it. They brought 2 separate songs. So we recorded the acapella part separately from. Oh, my first mistake was we recorded it separate from that. So the beginning part, we recorded months before we did the beat part. And
whose idea was that?
That was Denny Tommy. Yeah, that was Denzel Foster. It was his idea, Tommy's idea. And so we were shocked when we came to the studio to mix and master the album and sequence the album. So sequence means putting every song in order from 1 through, I think we had 12 songs on the album. So 6 songs on one side, 6 on the other. Gotcha. And so that process, when we came back to the studio to do that, they had put those 2 pieces together, the acapella and the beat. And we were like, what are you guys doing? Like, what is this?
No doubt.
Oh, it was terrible in our minds because in my mind anyway, I was like, wow. Because we were so used to hearing those 2 parts separated from each other. And it was really shocking when we were like, whoa, but it made so much sense later. And as we got used to hearing that, it was like, wow, I can't imagine those 2 pieces not being together now.
Right.
It was just like, so it was so genius. And so I was very proud of them. I'm proud of them to this day because we did something that no other girl group had done. And we started a trend that everybody started following after that. So Color Me Bad did their thank yous for the Soul Train Awards or BET Awards one year, and they did theirs in acapella just like us, So we saw the influence that our acapella made on the world. It was like Cindy always explained it, like lightning in a bottle. We had lightning in a bottle. Yeah, it was we had something so different than everyone else.
No, I could totally agree. And that's what when I was talking about earlier, like I love all those other groups, but my preference was En Vogue. Nothing against, I love all those groups, but I just gravitated to you guys more. Like everybody, you like what you like.
Yes, of course. Everybody's got a preference. And I'm grateful for that because without you loving us that way and other people feeling the same way you do, we would not have been as successful as we were. So that's always good. And the great thing is that none of the other groups were trying to be like En Vogue. They just had their own thing, but they knew they based off being a girl group, of course, because like I said, we based being a girl group because of the Supremes and Martha and the Vandellas. And speaking of the Supremes, Miss Mary, being gone now.
Yes,
that
rest
was
in peace.
Rest in peace. Like, wow, she was to me way too young.
But you ever got a chance to meet her?
No, and she lives here in Vegas. I just found out because she passed away. I didn't even know. My mom said the same thing the other day when she first heard the other day. It's shocking, and I think she had so much more to do. But of course, between her and God, she had a different agenda. And so bless her, and thank God she came along, her and the other girls, because they gave us something to aspire to.
No doubt. Yeah. No, I totally agree with everything that you just said. So look, I want to read these things off because this needs to be talked about more. This is why you're here, Dawn. Yeah. So that Born to Sing album, again, I vividly remember when this came out, April of 1990. Now you got Hold On, went R&B #1.
Yay.
#2 on the pop charts, which is, I don't think people understand how big of a deal that is. Like
that is huge.
That is not easy to do. Yeah. Lies, #1 on the R&B charts, 38 on the pop charts. Don't know why that wasn't higher. You Don't Have to Worry, which is my favorite song on the album. Wow. #1, and you got Don't Go #3. I'm like, this album right here, like you don't hear at that time, and I don't know if you remember this, and correct me if I'm wrong. At that time, like you just mentioned, like there were no one sounding like you, and as far as the success, there was no women groups that were as successful as you guys. Like you guys were clearly in a league of your own.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
You talking about in 90? Because other girl groups came later, but
yes, no, talking about 1990.
In 1990, I think we had it for about, I think Destiny's Child came. Sorry, no. TLC probably came out next. Jade, you got Brownstone, you have all these other groups that came after us, but I don't know who came next. But we had for about a good 3 years. I think we had it sewn up by ourselves.
Yes, and like you say, a lot of these other girl groups who were dope, they were super dope. Let's not take nothing from them. They were super dope.
Yes.
But you guys, as far as the chart success, was killing it. And you know, like how, like, what was the feeling like? Did you guys ever feel that like this was possible? Like this is real? What was going on in you guys' mind? Like, what was the feeling like?
It was so amazing. Like really, when I think about all of that, and I've had a lot of time with all these interviews that I've done just to reflect on and writing my book at the time right now. Everything that I think, it's like we were kids trying to create something new, and it was all new for us. Mm-hmm. And we're traveling the world, and people are telling us that they love us and we're their favorite, or it's like getting all these plaques, presented to us. It was overwhelming. It was like, wow. And there was no feeling of, this is not supposed to happen. It was just like one after the other, hit after hit after hit. Right. It was just happening one after the other. So everything was a whirlwind, and we were trying to catch up to our success. Mm-hmm. There are other groups that came after us that sold much more, much bigger than En Vogue. TLC and Destiny's Child are two of the, but at that time, nobody could touch us. We were in a league of our own, like you said. We were in a lane by ourselves. And it was. Still, I'm just like looking at my life. Like, this has really happened. This really happened.
Come on, Dawn, talk about it. Like it's look. You earned a nomination at the 33rd annual Grammys for Best R&B performance by a group. You know, this you won Best Soul Album at the Soul Train Awards, Best R&B Single at the Billboard Music Awards. Like you guys. Like you're being modest, Dawn. Like you're being modest. Like no, you guys, I don't think the fans. Like I remember you lived it. You lived it. I remember it. Like you guys were like goddesses to us. Like me being a young boy. One thing I loved about En Vogue, you guys personified class. You had talent and you personified class. So I always wanted to know, did you guys have like what do you call artist development? Did you ever go through that?
No, we didn't have that at all. We had a great team of people that happened to be we had the right people at the right time. Because when we first came out as En Vogue, I don't have our first album cover, I don't think, in here, but our first album cover was tired. We were trying to be what we thought was En Vogue, and it wasn't at all. And we got a team of people. Our hairstylist was the first one to say, okay, you guys, I like your makeup artist. She's very sweet, but she's not what you need. You guys have to be En Vogue, and you have to live up to that. So he said, I have a makeup artist, and he's homeless. And we were like, huh? He's homeless, but he's amazing. And now he wasn't living on the street. He was just like living on his friends' couches and from house to house to house. But he was genius. He came and did our makeup for free just to let us know what he was capable of. And we were like, wow. After that, we became what was iconic for En Vogue. We lived up to our name after him. But we needed that team to make us En Vogue. So I can't say that we were that right out the bat. We became that later because they polished us up and made us shiny, and like that became En Vogue. But at first we were like, I mean, Maxine, if you look at the first cover too, Maxine didn't have her nails done, so some of the fans were like, oh my god, she could have gotten a manicure. She didn't look the part.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this: as young men, we didn't mind.
Broken tooth. Terry has a chipped tooth on the first album cover, like because she was doing shows in college, and she hit the microphone and literally cracked her tooth in half. We weren't En Vogue yet. We had to live up to that. So it took a lot of people to make us who we became, and thank God for them. Roberto, I gotta give him hands down. There's a couple of pictures of him with me on my Instagram page, and he is the one who put the team together to make us who we became. It took a lot of that. We weren't that at first.
Now, when you was at Atlantic, were you working with Sylvia Rome?
Yes, she's the one who signed us.
Okay. How was that? How was that working with the legend?
Well, we never really worked with her. I mean, we worked with our producers, and then they handed the record to Atlantic Records. So she would come to the photo shoots, and we would see her there, and she would say, because she's very fashionable. That woman is fashion forward. She's probably the one who found Roberto for us, because we didn't find him ourselves. Our hair person, we didn't find that team. She found him. So, but she's very fashion forward herself. She's like that person. As far as a woman is concerned, and looking at clothing, like anytime she stepped in, we're like, oh my God, she'd have on shoes from Japan that we'd never seen before. Like, she just really knew fashion forward.
No doubt. So, like, another thing I noticed about you guys, I always said that En Vogue was like a group of 4 lead singers. I believe, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, you sing in the first soprano range. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, actually, you're wrong. I sang. Cindy and Terry shared first soprano. Cindy has a very pop voice, so she's really high automatically, naturally. Okay. I am too, but they didn't put me there because it was too many of us in that same category. So it was Cindy and Terry in that first soprano, and then I was second soprano. Maxine was alto. I'm
glad I said correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I was anyway.
That's a disclaimer. So no, the reason why I mentioned that, because a lot of you guys took turns singing leads. Now, how did you guys determine who sang lead on this song, or who sang lead on this song?
Good question. That was our producer. Danny would just put us in the studio, and I don't think he really thought, okay, this key is for her, this key is for this one, she can do this better. But if you notice, a lot of the songs we would team up with each other too. So Cindy and I did. Oh boy, did we do "You Don't Have to Worry" together? And then,
I know you're on that.
Well, we're all on it, but I just don't know if it broke, because we're all on each song. So "Free Your Mind" was all 4 of us. We each had a verse. But so he would say again.
I said, "Don't Let Go." I remember all 4 of you guys on that one.
Terry sang lead predominantly on that one. Terry did both verses. So what I'm saying is when I say lead, the verses are what you determine who sings lead more on a song. And in that case with "Don't Go," Terry
No, Don't Let Go. Don't Let Go.
Don't Let Go was me.
And I know they come in at the end, and they all have like these
little parts.
These dope parts. It's very memorable. But I remember
the bridge, yes, exactly.
But I remember you doing, lead for the most part.
Right.
Okay. So that first album, it went platinum. Now, what was that like? How did that change you guys' lives? Did you guys go through the whole New Edition situation? Like, everybody hear about things like that in the industry,
What do you mean? As far as what with the New Edition?
Like, as far as like business and not getting what you supposed to be getting, as far as, gratuity, things of that nature.
No, we didn't get paid well at all. But the success, we were still happy. I mean, you can't be number 1 on the charts. You can't have platinum. You would look at all these plaques. Like, you can't do all this and feel like, oh yeah.
Right.
After a while, I started to get a little bit like, okay, now we have, another single that went platinum, but where's the money? And I think I was the first one to start asking those questions. And Maxine and I would be on the phone together, like, where's the money? Why aren't we getting paid? When is that going to happen? And I remember coming back from London, our first time overseas, coming back from London, and we were at the BET stages in doing BET that day with Shirley Clark. Was it Shirley Clark? And so we were doing BET that day, and I took our manager back, and I was just like, can we please talk? So we went to try to find a spot, and we ended up on the back lot where they have all the equipment for lighting and all that stuff, and stage stuff that they would build for stage for the BET stages. And I said, David, why are we not making money? And he said, what do you mean? I said, but our album is right now we're multi-platinum. We've sold like millions of records. And he said, oh, it takes a lot of records to sell. And I said, I know, but we are. Like, right now we're multi-platinum. Where's the money? Like, come on. And he's, oh, that's a pie in the sky,
What does he mean by that? Yeah, what does he mean by that?
Yeah, a pie in the sky is when you're dreaming about something. This is actually happening. We are multi-platinum. So, and he said, well, it's going to take a lot more records to sell. And I just walked away like scratching my head. What do you mean? And so no, we made 2 pennies a record, and it remained that way for 4 albums. So for Born to Sing, Funky Divas, Runaway Love, which was an EP.
Right.
And then when we started recording that 4th album, it was the same thing.
Now, what about the remix project? What about the remix project?
That was the remix project.
Oh, okay.
Runaway Love album, that was remixed to Sing. Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, I know you guys did a lot of touring off that particular album. What were some of the highlights? You know, I know from like 1990 up until the project that we're about to get into next. What were some of the highlights? Just, you know, being on tour, opening for a lot of great artists, leading your own, you know, having your own tour. You know, what was some of the highlights at that time?
Exactly. We toured with our first tour. Well, our very first tour was a promo tour, and that's just an introduction to the world. Again, we are like, oh my God, we're in Stockholm, Germany. You know, we're in, Stockholm. We're in Germany. We're in Spain. It's like, oh my God, I'm calling my mom on the payphone.
Yeah.
You know, and then you have a language barrier. So you'd have to get an operator overseas to connect with an operator in the States to get you to call your mom. It was a crazy time. It was like, wow, we are in London, you guys. We've never gone to Africa, but we went to so many other places, and it was like, wow, the world really does love us. But we were introducing ourselves. But once we got there, they knew our song, and we only had that one single, so we'd have to perform Hold On over and over and over again. That was always fun. And then we didn't get to see the countries we were in very much because we couldn't afford a lot of security to be with all 4 of us. So we'd have one security guard. You're talking about 4 girls. So we didn't really get to venture out, and they had us doing a lot of press over and over and over again as well. So the press was really hard to get around. You couldn't not do it. So you can't really venture out. You didn't have time in Japan to go off on your own and see the city or to see the country. You know? But it was amazing. You're talking about the fans were loving us, and as we got around the country, we started to see, sometimes we would get to a certain country and they're like, oh, okay, so who is this? We don't know who this is. Oh, we know that song. Oh, yeah, hold on to my love. Hold on to your love. That's cute. But then when we got back to the States, our manager called us literally like 2 or 3 days after we got back and said, guess what, girls? MC Hammer wants you to tour with him. And we were like, what? Now, that's huge. That's huge. So that was typically you would go out on tour with a male artist because that male artist would bring in the female fan base, and then we would, as girls, bring in the male fan base, and it was a give and take like that. So that's our big tour. Like, what, we're going on tour with MC Hammer, and we ended up back overseas doing Wembley Stadium, which was huge in London. Huge. Yeah, huge.
That's amazing. So the Hammer, what's that? The Hammer don't hurt him. Is that
Hammer don't hurt? Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And he also another Bay Area native.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. So look, let's here we go. We're going into the second album. You know, it's 1992. You guys been touring for, I believe, you know, a couple of years, so going on 2 years. How long? What lead me to this? The Funky Divas project released in 1992. What was it like putting out that project, and just walk me through that.
Funky Divas was, you know, again, we still have the world at our feet. Everything is in our corner. So it's a little scary because when you come out with your sophomore album, you're not sure if you're going to sell like the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So you have what they call, you know, maybe the sophomore jinx.
I heard of that.
You're hoping that everything goes well. And so when you're in the studio recording, you don't know if what you're doing is good or not. You can't, it's hard to gauge that on your own because you can't speak for the world. You can't say that Germany's going to love the second album. You can't say that South Africa or Australia is going to love the second album. So you're hoping that what you do is just as good as the first. And here we are recording. And once we put it out, number one, never going to get it. You know why? I got to tell you, the first album we had Hold On.
Mm-hmm.
Denny and Tommy were smart enough to use the Big Payback sample. And James Brown's sample.
James Brown, yeah.
Second album is the same thing. They were like, okay, if it ain't broke, why break it? I
know that's right.
So Never Gonna Get It has the same exact sample.
Yeah.
You know, Big Payback. Yeah, they got that same James Brown sample, and it worked on Never Gonna Get It.
So
same exact key, same exact sample, same exact everything. Don't break it. So
what was talk to me about this? Like I always, I'm a huge fan of Foster and McElroy. Talk to me, how was it working with those guys, man? Because I feel like they're overlooked when we talk about like some of the greatest greatest songwriters / producers, but they have amazing catalog, and just off your catalog alone. The catalog outside of you guys is amazing, but just your catalog alone. So talk to me about working with those guys. How was it working with them?
They were amazing to work with, especially at first, because we were all excited. Like everything was new for all of us as far as them having a girl group. They had never had a girl group. Mm-hmm. So writing for us was different for them, although they had, my girl's name. What is her name? It's escaping me, from Club Nouveau. Situation Number 9, Jealousy and all that. They had her in the group. Still, they hadn't had to find parts and harmonies and stuff for a girl group. So Samuel being in Club Nouveau with the girl that was in there, why is her name escaping me? I love her. I can't think of her name.
Yo, I forgot that Samuel was in Club Nouveau.
Exactly.
You took me back. That's crazy. Go ahead.
Exactly. So writing for them together was a little bit different than writing a 4-part harmony for us. It was a different thing for them, but they did so well. Denny was really the one picking apart keys on the piano and ding, 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 ding. Terry, you sing this note. Ding, 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 ding. Maxine, you sing this note. Dawn, ding, 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 ding. Terry, sing, ding, ding, ding. You know what I mean? He would do that, and he would pick around. Tommy was more of a virtuoso, so he could play on the piano, but he was the one putting together the tracks before we actually got in the studio with Denny. Denny would be in the studio hands-on and doing the vocals with us. So he was the one to produce our vocals predominantly in the studio. Tommy wasn't there for a lot of that. They each had their roles. And Denny was more hands-on with us. Tommy was more with the music. So it was great, though. We had a blast. Now, after a while, Denny started to come out as his true self. So after maybe 2 months of being in the studio, his veneer started to come down, and his anger and his nasty side came out. And he would tell us if he didn't like that we were saying stuff or saying too much, or we were talking behind him, and he's trying to hear one of the girls in the studio with the headphones on. We have headphones in the studio.
Right.
When we're singing, we're talking to him in a microphone, and he's trying to hear us. So he's trying to hear, and we were talking behind him in the studio, laughing and having fun. And he would turn around and say, y'all shut the fuck up. Not funny.
He wasn't doing that. He wasn't doing that earlier. He wasn't doing that earlier, huh?
What do you mean?
Like you said, like the way you told me he was coming out of his shell. He wasn't talking like that before.
No.
That's what I mean.
So at first we were laughing like you just did. You laugh and then, Denny. But after a while, it was like, no, shut the fuck up. Get your shit and go the fuck home. Everybody go the fuck home. And we were like, so we collect our things, and like little girls, we go out in the parking lot. And we're like, oh my God, Terry, what did you say to him this time? I didn't say anything. Dawn, you said it. I was like, Cindy, you said it. We would laugh at that. And after a while, I was like, wait a minute. He's getting a little too comfortable. He's telling us to shut the fuck up every other day. It's getting too much. And so I was like, I came to the girls and I said, you know what, you guys, I really don't like how Denny tells us to shut the fuck, because now it's getting too much. Now I feel like if we were guys, he wouldn't talk to us that same way. He definitely would. I asked Raphael when I was in Lucy Pearl, I said, did Denny ever tell you guys, did Denny ever say, you guys get your shit and go the fuck home? He's like, huh? I said, Raphael, like when you guys were in the studio, like, did he ever like tell you guys to shut the fuck up? And he's like, Don, because he calls me Don. He doesn't call me Dawn. He said if that nigga ever came at us like that, he would have got mopped up. Like, no, he never. Yeah, because he he doesn't talk to us like that.
No, that's crazy hearing Raphael talk like that.
As women, he thought he could abuse us that way. And to me, I was like, after a while, I said, I don't like it. It is abusive. And I don't like it. And Maxine was like, well, you should tell him that you don't like that. And I was like, Maxine, if I tell Denny that I don't like how he talks to us, don't you know I'm going to be kicked out of the group? Like, I can't go to him on my own and say, Denny, please don't talk to us like that anymore. He would have been, oh, so you don't like the way I talk to you? No, I don't. And he would have been like, okay, sign here, because you're out of the group. You know what I mean? I didn't have any clout. I didn't have any backup. I didn't have any leverage to say, I have this amount of success. Don't talk to us that way. I didn't have anything to say. If I'm gone from this group,
right,
they're gonna lose fan base. If I'm gone from the group, they're gonna fall apart. So when I finally left the group, that's exactly what happened. But I didn't have that position at first. So for me to say, Denny, please don't talk to us like that. I would appreciate if you respect us and don't talk to us that way. He would have been like, girl, please, bye. You know what I mean? I would have been kicked out. But so
help me out here, Dawn.
Yeah.
Help me out. This is, outside looking at me, being a young man around that time. And I always wanted to know, listen to you talk about this situation. Were you signed directly to McElroy and, Thomas and McElroy? Were you signed direct, Foster and McElroy?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because I did an interview with Steve Russell, and he was telling me, like, I always thought they were signed directly through. So what I'm learning as I do more of these interviews, I'm learning that a lot of artists were not signed directly to Atlantic, to MCA, to, so that's.
Well, that's what I said before. If you remember, just go back a little bit. I said.
Yeah, I just want to get clarification. No, I just want to get clarification.
We were signed to. We got a deal. Like I said, Sylvia Rowland gave them a 5-act deal. I just wanted to remind you of that part.
No, I thought I heard you say, yeah, that's interesting that they.
So we were signed to Tough Enough Productions. Was the production deal Denny and Tommy had? Too Tough Enough, and it was Denny and Tommy, and we signed to them, and then to them, through them, we were signed to Atlantic. So we weren't direct line with Atlantic Records, at all.
Okay. So let's talk about this Funky Divas project. This is the one, again, I remember as we was talking earlier about a lot of your influences growing up. Mm-hmm. And, out of the box, one of the first songs that I remember was that Free Your Mind. And again, I'm going to be honest, when the song came out, I hated it. Didn't like it at all. Mm-hmm. As a young kid, it was such a departure from what you guys did on Born to Sing.
Right.
What as I realized, one thing about En Vogue, you guys are very you guys have versatility, and I've grown to love that song over the years. So talk to me a little bit about the direction that you guys were going as far as putting out the now classic Funky Divas project.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
I'm gonna keep it real with you, dog. Like, I didn't like that song when it came out. I go.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, I mean, but it's not. This is the thing. You either keep the fan base that you have, or you catch them the next time around. Not everybody's gonna like everything.
Makes sense.
So that's cool, and I'm glad that what I loved about it. You're talking about two Black men, first of all, taking a chance to do something that was outside the box. They weren't going to keep us in that place and just say, no, they're only going to do R&B, and they're only going to do jazz, and they're only going to, that type of sound. They said, no, we're going to help you guys grow. And by that, we got a whole different, we crossed over pop, which means you're popular on Hold On. So that was on the first album. But Free Your Mind showed our diversity. It showed us, it showed fans that we can also come with rock guitars and do something unexpected. Mm-hmm. That was taking a huge chance, because we could have lost our whole fan base just behind that one song.
You almost lost me.
Our fan base, bye.
You almost lost me.
Yeah,
you almost lost me.
I'm sure you weren't the only one, but I'm so glad that we went ahead with it anyway, and that we showed that we can do that shit. We can rock out with the best of them, and we are badass bitches to do it.
Right.
Now, I love Brownstone, but I don't see them doing a song like Free Your Mind. I love Jade, but I don't see them doing that. I love even TLC. I can't see them doing a rock and roll song like that. So I love the fact that Denny and Tommy said, I can't even see the Pointer Sisters doing as rock and roll a song like that. Doing, like you said, Fire and
Automatic. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. It was really pop. It was more pop. But the da 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 da.
Yeah.
Da da da. Dude, that rock guitar on there was like, what? Y'all are bad asses. Thank you so much.
No, I say
the
that.
subject matter on the song was just like, to me,
amazing.
Yes, it was something that was needed, because it's exactly what you're saying about Free Your Mind. It was a song saying, don't be closed-minded. Free your mind, and the rest will follow. Be colorblind. Don't be so shallow. In other words, my lyrics were, Cindy's was, I wear tight clothing, high heel shoes. Doesn't mean I'm a prostitute. The assumptions that we make about people when they do stuff like that.
Oh, the lyrics is amazing. The song is amazing.
But you do a song with all this rock guitar in it. Yeah. Why are they doing that? And for the people that said, we love that they're doing that, I was like, yes, go with us on our journey, because we're not going to stay in that box. And I love that they took that chance, man. You can, in the video, you see me jumping up and down, and I'm doing my thing, because
y'all killed it. You killed it, man.
But I'm even more, because this is what I grew up with. Cindy didn't grow up with rock and roll. Neither did Maxine and Terry. So it was like, oh my God. Oh, you can see it. I'm running.
Right. No, that's why I asked that. That's why, again, like I said, at that time, I'm a young man, so my musical palette wasn't mature enough to instantly catch on to that.
I get it.
But eventually, within a couple, you got me. Yeah, you got me. And this is the one. I think the one that really got me. They realize, like, these girls are legends. If they stop right now, they're legends. They are etched in stone. And the one I'm talking about is Giving. That one, right? That's a classic, of course.
Got it.
But I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about something. Giving him something that he can feel. The video and the song, I'm going to be honest, I never heard of the original at that time in 1992. I'm not old enough to remember Aretha Franklin's version from Sparkle.
Sure.
That was the first time I've heard that song. I love Aretha's version now. Yay! It's a classic, but that was my introduction. But being a young man, seeing you guys on stage, the sexiness and the sultriness that you guys brought, I don't know if that's a word, but
sultriness,
that you guys brought to that song was just, it takes me back. I vividly remember that time, and I can see, I wanted to be Johnny Gill in the crowd, when he's, that was me. I wanted to be, all I said, Dawn I'm going to marry her one day. When I'm old enough, I'm going to marry. She's going to be my wife one day. I'm going to marry her. I'm going to.
How old were you at that time? How old were you?
I was like 14. Yeah, I was like 14.
I think you were just a little. I would have been in trouble if I'd have married you at that age.
I said one day, I said, man, this woman is. All of you guys are beautiful, but
gorgeous. Yeah, we look so pretty in that video. I'm proud of us.
The thing I love about it is that you showed this sexiness, but it was classy, and just the energy, the raw emotions that you brought to that song.
Yes,
that's my favorite song. So if you don't mind, talk to me a little bit about that. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I talked over you. I'm sorry. I never saw us as. I never saw myself as sexy until I saw that video. There is, and I think it might be because I'm singing lead, but I'm also, you tell me, what does it mean? And I look to the girls, it's just, I was so, I had a womanliness, if that's a word, I had a womanliness about me. And it was so, I was so confident in my body.
Talk about it.
And my movements and my sex appeal. You know what I mean? I was just kind of like that. I was very.
I want the fans to know. I said, I want the fans to know when they see this, like, I'm telling you, when you guys, for fans who have never seen that video, I don't care how old you are, you're going to feel it. Like, that is something that I haven't seen since the last time I've seen something that's remotely close to that is when Destiny's Child performed "Cater to You" on the BET Awards. But again, it wasn't just beauty and it was just, you know, the song itself, you know, the way that you took that song and made it your own. Like,
Thank
again,
you
I never heard of that song at the time.
Yeah, exactly. Riri's version is amazing too. There's some stuff that she does at the end, and I was trying to do it, and my producer said, no, don't copy Aretha, do your own thing. So I'm proud of that too, because hearing it all those years, I couldn't help but do what she did. It was in my head. It's still in my head. She did something with her voice and I loved it, and I was trying to do that, and he said, no, just bring your own thing. So I had to find some stuff and pull some things out on my own, and we made it our own. It really was, it became ours, you know. It became ours. It was originally for the movie Sparkle. So I think the version in Sparkle is the girl group that was in the movie. Sparkle and Sister and the other sister that was in the group in the movie. And I think they had their version, and then Aretha did hers for the actual soundtrack.
Yeah, Curtis.
But yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that video it's sexy times a million.
I used to be a young kid, and I'm looking at Johnny, and you know, I'm looking at all the brothers in the crowd, and I'm like, I get it. I'm like, yo,
you understood that.
I'm telling you, I remember when you guys came out, and like I said, like you guys were part of my background as far as, you know, growing up. You know, I vividly, like, I was able to connect with women by the songs that you guys, you know, what you guys put out. It was one of my, it's how I learned how to respect women. And I salute a lot of, you know, Foster McElroy, how he wrote for you guys. But I asked this question. I want to ask this question. Like, when those guys were writing these songs, did you guys ever give them like a little input? You know, like, maybe we should say it this way, because, you know, we are women. So if you don't, talk to me a little bit about that.
Not really. On the first album, we co-wrote some of the songs, including Hold On. But on the second album, once Denny found out that we actually went to MC Hammer. So once we came off the MC Hammer tour, I guess Cindy had a conversation with MC Hammer to tell him that we were not getting paid. And she came, I guess once they had that conversation, when we came back from the state, we came back from overseas, back to the States from overseas, he said, I'm going to pay for you guys to sit with my attorney. And I want you to ask him exactly what the hell is going on and why you guys are not making money. And because there's something wrong with this. You guys are the biggest things on the charts. And you mean to tell me that you're only making 2 cents a record? Like, what is that? Oh my God. And so we sat with his attorney, and he told us, oh, your deal is pretty dinosaur. Like, you have a dinosaur deal, what they call. So once Denny found out that we went to MC Hammer's attorney, he revoked our right to write on the next album. He told us we couldn't write on the Funky Divas album. So we didn't get to write on the second album.
Wow.
And
so y'all were looking forward to that.
Of course we were. I mean, you heard, as artists, we were hearing that, you know, the biggest part of being a celebrity is what you write, is your writing skills, and being able to get that in the long run, those checks that come in, your royalties are what you look forward to when you're retired or you're not working any longer. No doubt. If they're making all this money off of it, heck yeah, we wanted to do the same thing, you know.
Well, look, that Funky Divas project, again, I believe that went multi-platinum. It definitely went over multi-platinum.
Well, the first album went multi-platinum, second album even bigger than the first. So exactly. 3 to 5 million on the first album, 5 to 8 million on the second, and even bigger. Because by the time I left in '97, now you're talking about 4 albums, like I said. By the time I left in '97, we had sold 28 million records. And I'm looking right here, we got 5 number ones. You know, like you got 2 more number ones. You got My Love and Never Gonna Get It. That video. Again, another one that just takes me back. I mean, I loved it. Now it's time for a breakdown. That part, I always love that part. And you be all y'all moving. Oh man, y'all look so damn sexy. I swear, man. Let me calm down. But you guys look amazing. I love that song. It deserved to be whatever it is. That went platinum, I believe. Giving him something that he could feel, went platinum, another number 1. Yesterday, you surprised me with that one. That was written by the Beatles. Whose selection
was the
that was Denny again. These were every song that you hear was Denny's idea.
Oh, okay. Because I know because you mentioned that you like the Beatles. That's why I said that.
Exactly. No, I wish. But again, when they said we were doing that, I was like, what? How? Because their version was so iconic. Again, I had grown up listening to that, so for them to we had it in the house. My mom would play it all the time, just like my father. So for them to say that we're actually going to redo a Beatles song,
right? Oh
wow! I was just like, to me, I wish we would have done some kind of little clip on that song. Just a little, what they call it, EPK, electronic press kit or something, just to record the acapella, because it was so beautiful. Our version was all acapella.
I love that version. I'm sorry, I love it. I like that better than I like that version, and I love the Beatles. I'm a diehard Beatles fan, but I like your version better.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And I'm not just saying that. I'm not just saying that because I'm talking to you, but you
it's
guys.
Okay, but thank you.
Yeah, you guys.
It means a lot. Yeah,
you guys.
There's no music in there. There's only us.
Yeah, you can hear the rawness of your voices and the full palm harmony.
Sorry,
I love that.
The beat does come in after.
Yeah.
The second, when Cindy starts singing the second verse, yeah. Yeah.
So you had, so I'm looking, you got Free Your Mind, which I'm surprised. Like I said, I don't, and now let's talk about that a little bit. We mentioned that earlier. Did you ever hear any grumblings from the music industry or for fans when that song came out? Because I remember being here and watching in DC. I remember, again, I didn't like that song right off the bat. So did it ever get back to you? Like, what was the temperature in En Vogue?
They loved it. I mean, again, we're not going to do a song that, because we love it too. It's like anytime you put something out, if Coca-Cola comes, let's just give this example a lot. Coca-Cola had the classic Coke from the beginning. It's been there since I was a little girl. I didn't know anything different. Then they came with vanilla Coke. Oh, what is that? No. Then they came with cherry Coke, then vanilla Coke. Now they got lime. You know what I mean? So you got to, there's always going to be an audience. If someone doesn't like it, there's going to be 10 million people that do. No. So we couldn't worry about, you can't be creative if you're worried about, they're not going to like it. Or what if they don't? You have to do your thing and be true to who you are, whether nobody likes it or not. You're going to find an audience that loves what you do.
No doubt.
We didn't go in. You can't go in there with trepidation and saying, oh my God, what if this doesn't work? You can't. That's not confidence.
Right.
You have to go in knowing that this shit is going to work. And if they don't like it, they will. If they don't like it, they will. It's like that.
It's a classic. It's a classic.
There's how many billions of people on the planet now? At that time, there was 4 or 5 billion people. Now there's 11 billion people. You cannot worry about one person or 10 people that don't like the song. You got to do it and have confidence in it. So we did get from BET. They said, there's a little too much guitar when we were trying to release it as a single and come with the video.
Right.
But the video was so fucking hot. Are you kidding me? You guys are not going to like this for what reason now?
I think that would turn me on to the video because I just heard the song at first.
Yes.
And then when a young kid, when I saw the video.
Like, open your minds, you guys. Stop being such sticklers for, we like jazz. And we like, okay, that's great.
Music is music. Yeah, music is music.
Also, the biggest rock star in the world to this day, and he's been dead 40 years, is Jimi fucking Hendrix. He did it like that. He came with stuff that probably, I don't listen to it. I love Purple Haze, and I love Hey Joe. I heard you shot your woman down. There's classic songs that I love now, but I didn't grow up loving his music as much. But you can't be, turn a blind eye to stuff that you're not familiar with. You have to free your mind, as we said.
I totally agree.
Yeah, and it became, oh my God. I was, again, you can see me in the video, the fans were saying, jump, right? And they were telling me to jump, crowd dive.
Right.
At the end of when you get to the end of the runway and Free Your Mind, they were like, jump, and we'll catch you. And I was like, no! And I jumped out. They didn't film. The director had cut before I jumped. Because I was standing there talking to the fans, and they were like, just jump. And I jumped out, and they weren't filming. They didn't catch it. But I was just I was in my element. I was gone. I was mentally gone. I loved it, and I had a great time. And then all the girls did. Bravo, Cindy. Bravo, Maxine. Bravo, Terry, for doing something that was outside of the norm. Like I said, Yeah.
You know what? Hey, this is the Bridging the Generation podcast, Dawn. I'm gonna have to. Hey, we gonna keep it real on here.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I'm gonna let you know how I felt now and how I felt as a 14-year-old kid.
Yes,
again,
good,
like I said, my musical taste was just maturing, and you guys were a part of that.
Yeah, good, Malak. I'm glad to hear that.
You guys were part of that. So
I'm sure for a lot of people, you know what I mean? Again, yeah, it's really good to step outside. You never know what you're missing just because, oh, I don't listen to that. I don't like that. I don't eat that. I don't go there. I don't date these kind of people. You know what I mean? When we lock ourselves in to that box.
Okay. All right. So look, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Hello? Okay. Anyway, so look, here we are. The Funky Divas project, like you said, sold 3.5. I'm not surprised by that because it was nothing but bangers that came off that project, and it showed the versatility in you guys.
Yeah, I think it was bigger than that. Like I said, we sold 28 million by the time I left in 97. So I think it was bigger than that. By the time I left, it was much bigger than that. But yes, it was. Listen.
Nah, hey Dawn, talk your ish. Like, it's okay. Like, hey, you guys got the credentials. I want people to know, like, this is a legend. I'm talking to right now. You deserve all your flowers. And I remember, like I said, I remember all of that. So here it is.
Thank you.
No doubt. It's nothing. So here it is, Dawn. It's 1993. And you guys come out of nowhere with this one, and it was featured on. You guys put out an EP, and then it was also featured on one of my favorite female hip hop artists of all time, and you know who I'm talking about, Salt and Pepper. What a man!
Oh, what a man! I thought you meant Runaway Love. It wasn't on our EP.
That wasn't on the Runaway Love EP?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I know it was on Salt and Pepper's
it was their song, so it was on their album, but I don't think we put it on ours at all.
Okay.
But we were in the video, and of course, so when you have a guest, if they were guesting on our song, then we would have definitely put it on our record. But because it was on their album, I don't think we did. I don't think we put it on our album. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was that they asked us to be their guest, so it was their song, and they put it on their album.
Like I remember definitely being on Salt and Pepper, but as I was doing my research, because I like to, make sure it's sharpen up, it said that it was on that project. But hey, you know better than I do. But
I don't know. I'm not sure. That's why I keep saying I don't know. I don't think we did, but I don't know. You may be right.
I definitely remember it being on Salt and Pepper's album. So let's fast forward. Talk to me about that collaboration. How did you guys come to working together?
That was Sylvia Rohn again. That was the label. I want to say, because it might have been our agents as well. So either our agent William Morris came to us and said, "Hey, Salt and Pepper wants you to do a song with them," or it was the label saying, they wanted you guys to collaborate on a song called "What a Man," and we did. So that was it. Yeah, and that was their biggest hit. I gotta say, because of En Vogue, they had their biggest hit. And we were glad to be a part of that. And they brought us into their hip hop world. Like we weren't a part of the street credibility, you know what I mean? They gave us that by doing that.
They gave y'all that, no doubt.
Yeah.
That was dope.
That was huge for us too.
So I remember also, I remember at this time, you guys were doing a little acting thing. And I remember you guys being featured on one of the funniest episodes ever of Living Color.
Oh my God.
That episode is one of the funniest episodes of In Living Color. Tell me, how was that called? What was that called, like getting the hope to be on at that time? To me, in my world, the funniest show on television. What was that called?
Oh my God. You said it. Yes, you said it. It was a great show. Yeah. It was too funny to even get through the scenes. Okay. Because Jamie Foxx.
A fool.
Yes,
oh my goodness, that was crazy. Whose idea was that? Like, that's crazy.
That was his idea. His idea for the whole skit.
He's a genius.
Well, I actually don't know whose idea it was because you have writers on their staff for Living Color. So I'm sure that they all collaborated and what was that, but on the spot, he probably did that woo 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 part, Woo! Oh my
You ever find yourself going back to that, like getting a good laugh out of that?
No, not really. I don't. The fans send it to me every now and then, but it's like you move on from the things you do, and when you see it, you're like, oh my God, that was funny.
It was hilarious. I'm sorry. It was
hilarious.
So you also
can you excuse me for a minute?
I'm
so sorry.
I edit this, no problem.
Please. Mom, I'm doing the interview. That's okay. Okay. All right. Love you guys. Sorry, Malik.
No problem. I edit.
Oh my God.
I edit. That's why I do pre-recorded videos.
Yes. So give me a second then. If that's the case, I'm gonna close these blinds because I'm sitting here with the window is dark and I have it open, and I don't like that. It's dark outside. When we first started, I had it on. I had it open. Now it's dark and I want to close it. So good. I'm glad you said that. Okay. So in Living Color, they have a staff of writers, and I'm sure that they came up. Jamie is hilarious on his own. So the woo 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 part, probably him.
Funny as hell.
He had these shoes, Malik. They were yellow just because everything he was wearing was yellow. If you remember, he looked like
the dress.
Them shoes,
oh my goodness.
Size 13s, and they look like I'm sitting on a pillow.
Yeah.
As this pillow, like his shoes were massive. Oh my God! I was like, where did you guys find them? Because they were women's shoes. They were definitely women's shoes. They said we found them at a store for oversized women or big plus size women, but we had to paint them yellow to match the dress. He had to match,
Oh my goodness, he was ridiculous. He was ridiculous on that
Stupid,
episode.
dumb, crazy, foolish.
Yeah. So, you was also on A Different World too.
Yes, we were.
Different world. So y'all was moving around in Hollywood a little bit,
Yeah, we were. And that was it was enlightening because Debbie Allen was teaching us how to act on the spot. We were learning from her as we went along. She was very key to my character, Henrietta.
Henrietta.
Yeah, we all had glasses on, but she said, Dawn, because I told her I don't know how to play this. I don't know, how I should feel inside of this character. And she said, you have to go up to everyone really closely, look right at their faces, and squint and push your glasses up.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Oh my God. It's kind of like everybody from their chin all the way up to their eyes. You just go, okay, this is Cindy. Okay, this is Maxine. We all had character names, but she's like, play it like you really can't see. Like all of you have glasses, but you're really blind.
How thick were those glasses? Because they look like super thick.
They were just glass. It was just like, because we couldn't wear them in the scenes and be able to see. So it was just plain glass. But they were super thick. But it was regular glass, so it didn't feel weird at all.
Okay. No, I just
there wouldn't have been any way. Yeah, we couldn't have walked around with regular glasses, real glasses on.
Okay. So again, how did you feel about all the attention that you guys are getting, and like I always wondered, like, did anybody ever reach out to you as far like model? I know you mentioned that earlier, but I always thought like all of you guys are beautiful. Like, did anybody,
so much.
You ever get like offers for like modeling and everything?
We did a little bit of stuff, like we did some editorial stuff for interviews, but never anything modeling outright. No, and I think because we're too short. For runway, you have to be 5'11", 5'10", 5'11". Damn. So they require you to be super tall. Now, editorial work in magazines, we could have done that, but nobody ever really reached out to us that way. No. Okay. And Cindy, I always thought Cindy should have done Pantene commercials or hair products, because her hair literally was like, especially after she started having babies, the more babies she had, the longer hair it got. Seriously. And Free Your Mind in Don't Let Go, was it? Her hair was to the middle of her back, and they still put a weave in, so her hair went this way. It was huge in the video. Yeah. She didn't even need a weave. Her hair was so long. Yeah.
So here we are. It's 1996. And it's the Set It Off soundtrack. And, this movie came out of nowhere. And I see you guys again. Yay. looking amazing as usual. Dawn taking the lead, killing it as usual. Walk me through that. what was that like, getting that call to be in one of the classic movies of that era,
Exactly. I don't even remember that part. I really don't. I want to say that we did the song and then they ended up putting it in a soundtrack.
Okay.
But I don't remember them saying we're going to do this song for a soundtrack. Maybe I'm wrong. And I wish the girls were around so I can ask them, but it just felt like we did a song and then they ended up saying, oh, that'll work for a soundtrack.
Right,
Sometimes they match up a song without you knowing, and they'll just say, oh, wow, that song, you know what? That'd be good for, and it ends up that way.
I got you.
I don't remember how it happened, but when it did happen,
talk about that.
Yes. Come on now. Like, that's like.
Yeah.
To this day, F. Gary Gray, I think, was the director, right? For it?
From Friday. Yep. From the same director from Friday. Yes, you're right.
Exactly.
You're right.
So to do a movie about 4 Black women, first of all, you don't see Black people robbing banks. Excuse me. You don't see Black people robbing banks. And to see 4 Black women? What?
Right. That's a classic.
Happen,
I hope they do a lot of remakes, and I hope they leave that one alone. Like, I hope they leave that movie alone.
Well, you never know who's got a different take on it, who can improve it and do it different. I always say, if we didn't do Giving Him Something He Could Feel, that wasn't our song to begin with. If we didn't do,
I digress.
If we didn't do Who's Loving You on Hold On, that's Michael Jackson's song. Smokey Robinson first, and then Michael Jackson, and then us. And it's like, what the hell? Thank God. Like, same thing with
right.
Can't Stay Away. We redid that. Same thing with me on my own doing
Oh, that dog. We gonna get into that. So look. So here we are.
Yeah.
1997 coming up, and that song takes off. It's everywhere. You can't go anywhere in the country. Definitely here in DC, that song is everywhere. You cannot escape Don't Let Go.
Don't Let Go. Yeah.
Yeah, you cannot escape that song. Like that is embedded in like my psyche.
It's in your DNA now, huh?
In my DNA forever. And it's one of those songs, like when I hear it, like I never got tired of it. Like a lot of songs I would hear it a lot and I would get tired of it. But so here we are, En Vogue releases the third album, E3. And I look at it and I'm like, something is different. Why is my girl Dawn not on the cover?
It wasn't the third album. You missed one. You missed
I'm sorry.
Love.
I forgot. Because that was the EP.
Okay.
I apologize about the Runaway Love. I didn't count that, but you're right. So I look at the fourth album, E3, and I notice something don't look right. It's a little different. I see 3 beautiful ladies on it, but I don't see my girl Dawn. So I'm trying to figure out what is going on. I'm not really big into like conspiracy theories and all of that. So when did some of the turmoil or things that went on, when did that start? And why were you not, I hear your vocals when I listen to the album. I hear your vocals.
Yep.
I hear your vocals. You do lead on songs.
Yeah.
But what happened with that album that caused you to eventually part ways, if you don't mind me asking?
Such a long story, but if you remember,
give me the bridge version. You can give me the bridge version.
It's hard because you're talking about years of history, and and there was a lot to lead up to that. So if I don't say the right parts, people are going to think, oh, wow, they didn't do that. Well, that didn't make sense. So I try to put all the details in there so people really understand. It's kind of hard to break it into little pieces, but remember when I said when we first got back from London, the first time I was asking our manager, why aren't we making money? We're huge in the States. Then we were so big in the States that they required us to come overseas. And now we come back and we're still huge and now we're still broke. What is that? Oh, it's a pie in the sky. Okay. And so here we are on our 4th album. And I told the girls, Maxine and I would, like I said, have those conversations. We're not making enough money. Let's get the other girls on the phone. So we finally got Cindy and Terry, all 4 of us on the phone. We have to do what's right for ourselves. We have a manager that is managing our producers, Denny and Tommy, Denzel Foster, McElroy, Thomas McElroy. And he's also managing us. So there's a conflict of interest there.
Yes.
Yeah, nobody's looking out for us. So we have to let David go. and we have to find someone else that can renegotiate our contract for us so we can make more money. You guys, we're making 2 pennies a record. Now we've sold all these millions of records and we're still making 2 cents per girl. There's a problem here. And the girls were upset with me, but they agreed that we have to get someone else. So in the meantime, the record company comes to Terry and says, Terry, do a solo album.
I remember that too.
So Terry did her solo album.
No comment.
That put the 3 of us on hold. We can't move without Terry. We signed a contract that's 4 girls. So we can't do anything without her. And the label that signed her is the label that we're all on. So we can't go anywhere else. We can't do anything else.
That's weird. That's weird.
And we Cindy and Maxine were too afraid. If they had the same mindset as me, we would have left there. We would have sued the record company, first of all.
And won.
Because you came, huh?
I said and won, and probably won.
Probably won. Yes, exactly. We should have sued Terry, Cindy. We should have sued Terry, Denny, Tommy, and the record label. All of them should have been sued. Because we're signed to a production company, which is Too Tough Enough Productions, and you guys are producing an album on Terry by yourself.
That's crazy.
It was insane. It was ridiculous. And we're not making money as it is. So now it's even worse.
See, this is the thing. See, like, I know you mentioned, I know you mentioned that earlier, but outside looking in, I'm going back to, again, a lot of times when I do interviews, I like to ask the artist. I don't like to read blogs and read this. Like, I want to hear from your mouth. Like, I don't know, outside looking in, did things change? Like, I don't know, did you guys get a better contract? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you mentioned it earlier, but I don't know, did things get better?
Exactly.
But that's why I asked that again. Like, I don't know if it's,
And I didn't have the press to be able to tell the truth about what happened. So that's why now I'm getting it out. But no, there was no.
Because you hear a lot of things on the internet. Like I read, you already know what's on the internet. It's a lot of different, so-and-so said this, so-and-so. I try not to really get involved and get caught up in that type of stuff. So I want to talk to Mrs. Dawn, and I'd rather hear from her.
Well, the fans can't do what you do. So they have to go by what's out there because that's all that's out there. And I didn't have the chance back then to tell the truth. So that's what I'm saying. Now I'm able to tell my truth. But no, there was nobody to have our backs at all. You know? And so we were sitting ducks and we were just waiting for Terry to do her thing. And here comes the record company. Once they put out 2 singles on Terry, Wherever You Are was her first single. That was a ballad. And then she put out What Did I Do to You? Was her second single, and they gave her a tour support. We supported her. We went to her first show at the Pantages in Las Vegas. In Los Angeles, we went to Terry's first show. We supported her, but we're sitting there like, okay, I'm gonna lose my house because I'm not paying rent.
Wow.
Because I'm sorry, I'm not paying my mortgage because I don't have the money to do that. That 4th album was gonna bring the money to be able to pay my mortgage. And now they put Terry in the studio, so it was divide and conquer. Their timing was, if we do this with Terry, the other 3 girls can't do anything without her. So we're gonna, they knew what they were doing.
Wow, that's slick.
It was a strategic move to put her in the studio. And here they are, 7 months later, they come to me and said, Dawn, do you want to do a solo album? And I was like, yes, Sylvia Rohn, yes, I do. Yeah, because I don't want to lose my house. So I said, yes, I regret that because I didn't tell Cindy and Maxine that I was doing this. But Cindy and Maxine didn't hold Terry accountable. So I'm like, fuck you guys. Why am I going to be accountable to you either?
No doubt.
It wasn't right. It was not right at all. It was immature. Now that I think about it, or in hindsight over the years, as I've thought about it, it was immature. And I should have told Cindy and Maxine what I was doing, but I didn't. And here we are. I started on my solo album. I'm 3 songs in, and Sylvia Rohn came to LA and said, Dawn, we're going to pull your album. And we're going to, I'm sorry. She didn't come to LA yet. But she called me and said, Dawn, we're going to pull your album. And we're going to go ahead and do an En Vogue album. I said, no, you're going to treat me the same way you treated Terry. You took her seriously. You did her album. You put it out, you did videos, and you put her on tour. You gave her tour support. You fully supported her project, but you're not going to fully support mine? Oh, no. You're going to let me go. And as a solo artist, you're going to let me go. I'll stay in the group. And I did. I stayed in En Vogue, and I did that 4th album with them, which became the EV3 album.
But Dawn, why
yeah.
aren't you like, it's only 3 on the cover?
Because they kicked me out. I haven't gotten there yet. That's why I said I can't tell it in a short.
Yeah, because that always like something ain't right. I'm looking at this album cover like this is. I hear the voice. This is weird. I hear your voice.
Yeah, I know.
I don't see you.
Right.
I know your voice. Your distinctive voice.
Sylvia Rome was pissed off. Thank you. Thank you. Sylvia Rome was pissed off because I outsmarted her. She didn't think that I was going to tell her that I'm going to stay in the group, but I want you to revoke my solo rights. I want to leave. As a solo artist, I want to be over there. As a group member, I want to be over here with the group. I'm going to stay in En Vogue, but I want to also be on my own here or by myself on my own. So my priority, though, is En Vogue. So I finished that album with them and all of that. And then when it got to, we were 2 songs almost done with the album. So we were 2 songs from being done with the album. And Sylvia came to town to LA. And she said, okay, when we got to Terry's hotel room, when I walked in, it was everybody that I expected to be there because it was a creative meeting. So our record company reps was for Sylvia and her A&R guy, Marlon, what's his name? I was going to say Marlon Brando. Dawn. What the heck? So her A&R guy was there. Our managers were there. Our attorneys were there. And I was like, wait a minute. You guys aren't creative. And immediately when I saw them, I was like, whoa, that don't feel right. That don't sound right. What's going on? And sure enough, Sylvia starts saying, well, I was telling the other girls that there can't be any hidden agendas in this group and blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay. No, she said, Dawn, before you got here, I was telling the other girls that we can't have any hidden agendas. And I said, okay. And she said, well, you're doing a solo album. I said, yeah, but I haven't started it yet. So, and she said, well, we can't have any hidden agendas. We're going to put a lot of money behind this album this time. And we have to have everybody on the same accord. Everybody has to have the same mind and the same idea about what we're doing here. And I said, okay. She said, well, you can't do that with a solo album. I said, but Sylvia, I haven't even started recording my album. You know that. I haven't started anything.
Right.
And my solo album hasn't had any bearing on the En Vogue album at all. I've been in the studio with the girls. I've been recording every single day, just like the other girls. So my solo album it's not affecting the En Vogue project. And so what are you saying? And she's like, well, you need to get out of that deal or blah, blah, blah. And you need to let us know if you're going to be in this group. And I said, but so in other words, you can't compromise with me. Like there's no, okay, Dawn, because like I said to her right then on the spot, I said, I have used, En Vogue has been my priority.
Right.
Nothing that I'm doing over there has affected this En Vogue album. So what is the problem? I don't understand why you're so upset. Like
it wasn't, but Terry did a project. Why was it?
And I
said why wasn't it an issue? That's what I said. And when Terry did a project.
Terry turned to me and said, because Terry was sitting on the couch across from me and Maxine. Maxine was sitting to my right on the floor. And so Terry was sitting facing Sylvia and Cindy. And hold on, I'm sorry, my dog came in. And when she looked at me, she said, Terry turned around. I'm sorry. My dog. My parents.
What's his name? What's her?
This is Lucy.
Lucy.
She turned. So Terry turned around and said, "It's just different." I said, "What's different about this?"
How is it different?
How? Terry couldn't explain that to me, and she said, "It's just different. It just is." You know how when your mom says you can't go out and play with your friends or something, and you
because I said so.
I said so. Yeah. So yeah, Terry telling me that it's just different, that it just was not good enough for me. Okay. And
see, this is what I'm saying.
My thing that I don't understand, Malik, is that Maxine was sitting to my right on the floor. She was right there. So she heard me loud and clear what I said. Right. Cindy was sitting on the couch and she could hear the same thing. Why didn't they step in and say, what's different?
Right.
What's different about that?
I didn't want to say anything, but that's what I
explain it to me, because Dawn is right. Explain, what does that mean, Terry? What are you saying? Why is that different? No, they didn't say anything. They just sat there and took it. Now I understand the fear that you have when you're sitting there talking to the record label that could cut you like that. The record label is like God. in our eyes as artists. You don't question what they say. You're not supposed to be smart and outsmart them. You're supposed to obey. You know what I mean? Do what they tell you to do. And I'm like, oh no, you guys are not. I may be out on my own. I'm not going to sit here and take this with you guys because I was loyal.
See, look, let me say this, Dawn. This is why I'm glad I have you on here. That's why it's an honor to have you on here because
thank you so much.
Again, a lot of blogs and a lot of things I've read in the headlines. It says so many things about you, and it say things about like I don't know what is to be true. And to be honest, I would rather just accept what you have given me as far as music and just take all and put all that stuff away. Or I will wait till someone such as yourself writes a book, and which we about to get into. We about to get into that because it's so much stuff that just say it back and forth, you know. And I don't have time to decipher that, you know. All I know, Don Robinson is a dope artist, and En Vogue a dope artist. So I appreciate
that. But this is the thing. What I'm saying is what I've been saying all along. There's clips of me being in London with Cindy, Terry, and Maxine as En Vogue. In 1992 and 93, 94, way before I left the group. And the host would say, one host said, so if any of you ladies, would you date a bloke that didn't have money? Because that's what they call guys. And I said, we don't have money. So there's little things like that over the years that I have said, and it's been consistent with me saying that we didn't have money. So it's not like I'm saying this now and it's he say, she say, well, this is Dawn's story or that's their story. No, all these years I've been saying the same thing. I came back to the group in 2009 and we were doing it to prepare for our 2010 20-year reunion. And we did a show called Private Sessions. And the host of that show said the same thing. She's like, Dawn, so you left the group. What happened? You left for a few years. And I said, yeah, because we weren't making money. We weren't making the kind of money that I thought we should. So it's been consistent. And interviews and stuff like that over the years. This is not new. This is not just coming out now. This is Dawn's side of the story. No, I've said it over and over. But back then, we didn't have the power of the press like we have it now. And I'm sorry, I didn't have the power of the press like I do now. So, yeah. And then even Cindy said, I don't know what interview that was because she has on a red top and I wasn't in the group anymore, but she said, I really wish that we would have listened to Dawn and come together as a group instead of just kicking her out and listening to the record company. I mean, there's kind of little things like that where she said, we should have listened to her, you know, instead of just pushing her out. We weren't making money, you know, so it's not me. It's not just me saying this now. I've said it for many, many years. It's consistent.
And you know, hearing you talk about that, it's so sad, and you know, it's crazy when you think about it because again, at that time, you guys were the biggest selling female group. It wasn't, to be honest, no disrespect to Brownstone, Escape, who I love to death.
Me too. I love Escape. I love Total.
But you guys were just Jade. We can go on and on. But you guys were just SWV, can't forget them. But you guys were just sales wise, just off sales, and all you guys were unique. But something about En Vogue was just, I don't know, man. It just resonated and it connected with people from all races, all nationalities.
Thank you. Wow.
You know, genders. You guys just had that aura about yourselves, and I
was on tour doing a play with Babyface did a play because I don't do plays, but this one happened to be Babyface did all the music, and it was a Dave Talbot play, so I know he's a great playwright. And I was the leading lady in the play, and Babyface's brother, Kevon from After 7, was the leading man opposite me. And so all this music from Babyface, Love Makes Things Happen is what it was called. So that was a song with him and Pebbles. And Love Saw It. I did that in the play.
With Karen White.
Karen White and Babyface. So it was me and Kevon. And I asked Coco when I felt comfortable, because she was in it too from SWV. I said, Coco, as I got comfortable with her, I said, Coco, did you make money in the group when you were doing your thing? And she said, what do you mean? And I said, when you guys were together, like at the top of your game, not at first, but you know, over time. And she said, Dawn, she said, do you know, we made so much money off our first album that if we never recorded again, we would be okay.
No way. No way. That's
and I was
crazy.
sitting there with Kevon, and she walked away because she had to go introduce herself on stage. And I just sat there, and he put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, Dawn, I understand. He said, my brother is Babyface, and we didn't make money either. And I said, no offense to you guys,
Wow.
Kevon. No offense to you. He said, we didn't make the kind of money we wanted. Not that we didn't make money, but we didn't make big money either. And he said, no. I said, no offense to you guys, Kevon. I love After 7, but you guys didn't cross over. You guys were not pop.
That's true.
You weren't known overseas like En Vogue. Like, we're global.
Global. International.
International, exactly. And he said, I know. And then he had to introduce himself, so he walked away from me. And I just sat there and I cried. And then I had to go out and introduce myself too. And then I wiped my face. And then I came backstage and I went and called my mother right away. And I said, Mom, you're not going to believe, like, it's not to say that SWV didn't deserve it. It's to say that we deserved it too. That's what I was feeling. Why didn't we get paid like that? Where were our millions?
The numbers, the numbers said that you guys deserve more. Like, you can debate who you like more or whatever, but the numbers said En Vogue sells more than everybody else. That's just what the numbers.
Not more than everybody else, but definitely more than
no. What I mean is the female groups, the girls singing R&B.
No, TLC sold way more than us.
Is TLC like an R&B group? Really? I'm asking the question though. I mean, I don't know what. I'll be honest, yo. For years, I'm really trying to classify what is TLC. Like,
what do you mean? I mean, of course they crossed over, but so did we. So you say
no. What I'm trying to say is, like, what do we classify as TLC? Is it rap? Is it R&B? I'm never like. I'm asking.
There's more singing parts on the songs than there is a little 16 bar. I saw a rainbow yesterday, but too many clouds have come and go. That's like, she only has a little 16-piece bar.
All right, fair. I'll give that to you, Dawn.
You feel me?
Outside
they're a singing group. They are a girl group. They never said that they were a rap group.
No disrespect to TLC. I never, when I think of like my favorite girl singing groups, I'm gonna be honest, I don't put TLC in that category.
But you said numbers wise.
Right.
TLC is a girl group. They have never been
no,
other than that.
Right. No, what I'm trying to say is, like, I did not know how to classify TLC. I did not, but you're telling me, like, this is a question I'm asking, but you gave me a great answer. Like, I'm asking, you said they are an R&B group. So
and not only is it TLC, that's just one group and we got stuck there, but you got Destiny's Child sold way more than En Vogue as well. 1 second. Destiny's Child sold way more than En Vogue as well.
No, let's talk about at that time. That's it, you know. But for years, I was just talking about at that time. Like, a lot of times, again, you know, but I'm not going to stay on that. So look,
so you keep saying at that time, all these girl groups came out in the 90s. So what time the year that we came out, there was nobody out. The next year, there was nobody out. There was only En Vogue for a few years. And then when they started coming out, we're talking about all the groups that came out in the 90s. Jade, Brownstone, Ex-Girlfriend, Moke and Steph,
right?
Black Girl, Black, Spice Girl. I mean, we can talk about a bunch of groups that came out in the 90s. And so, yes, this was all the same time. We were only together for 7 years.
Right.
So after us, you know, I'm sorry, even in the time that we were together and the time before I left the group, let's just say I left in 97, all those groups came out in that time. So, you know, Destiny's Child was definitely a part of it. So was TLC, so was Ex-Girlfriend, all those groups that I said. Did they sell as much as En Vogue? Much more than us. Destiny's Child and TLC, I think the fan Crazy Sexy Cool sold more than Fan Mail, but Fan Mail that's when they were just like, they couldn't buy a failure. It was just huge for them. They were massive.
And I don't, the reason why I didn't count Destiny's Child, because
they
when I think of it,
they sing like us, they sing differently. So maybe that's why you see it like that. That's not. What I'm saying is, when En Vogue, to me, the En Vogue era that I'm thinking of is the Dawn era, En Vogue era. That, to me, that ended in 97. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yes.
So Destiny Child come in 98. I'm not counting anything from 98 on. I'm only counting from 1990 to 1997. But
there's a bunch of groups that came when I was still out.
No. I'm just talking about. Hold on, slow down.
The group.
From 90 to 97, we got En Vogue. Only group that sold more than you guys is TLC, and I'll give you that one. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know. Okay, so I'm not looking at I'm not taking nothing away from nobody. Whatever happened, it was a girl group era of 90s.
Right.
90s was girl group heaven. Just like the 60s, you can't say, oh, because Diana Ross and the Supremes came out one time, nobody else mattered.
No,
you know what I mean? You have to give
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm giving credence. I love all these groups. I'm just saying nobody sold more than you guys, but TLC, you corrected me as far as TLC. That's all I'm saying. Brownstone, they went platinum. SWV, all of you guys was going platinum. You guys was dope. All these groups.
I just told you that SWV said that they sold more than we did, and they were rich. So I don't know what numbers you're looking at, but they were out at the same time as us when I was in the group, when I was there.
Hold up. Which project sold more than Funky Divas from SWV?
I have no idea. I don't know, but how can they be rich if they didn't sell that much? You can't not sell albums and be broke or be rich. You have to sell a certain amount of albums for you to be, because you got to pay. This is how the trickle down system goes. The IRS gets theirs, then your record company, then your producers, then your managers, then all these people got to get paid. So in order for her to say that they were rich off their first album, they sold a lot of albums.
No, I'm not questioning that.
Yeah, definitely. They had to. So yes, they outsold En Vogue.
Wow, I just learned something new. I did not realize that, because you guys, like I said, you guys were huge. So anyway, let's fast forward. Here we are. It's 1999, I believe, 2000, and you joined Lucy Pearl. Yes. So tell me about, linking up with Raphael Saadiq and Ali Shaheed Muhammad. How did you guys come
Raphael came to my manager at the time, Cassandra Mills, and said that he was doing a group, and he knew that I was in between deals. And at the time I had 2 deals on the table, one with Virgin Records, one with RCA. I liked the RCA deal better. Actually, Bob Jameson flew me and my manager and my boyfriend out to New York, the boyfriend at the time, out to New York. And I liked his deal a lot more. I loved Virgin for the label that they are and how they started with Richard Branson starting a label, being in college. I loved the history of Virgin, but I didn't like the deal they had on the table. And I loved the deal that RCA had. But when I heard about Raphael saying that he called my manager and she didn't tell me about it, I was like, wait a minute. So you told Raphael that I wasn't going to do it, but you didn't even tell me that the opportunity existed. So I fired her. I fired her immediately, because it had been a lot of things that had led up to that. And we were going head to head on everything. And I'm like, first of all, I am not a new Jill. I didn't just get in this business yesterday. I know what I'm doing, and give me that respect. Right. I'm not saying I know it all, but if I respect you, do the same with me. And I don't like what you're wearing. We're going to cancel this meeting. So she and I, we kept butting heads. And when Raphael told me that he asked her that about Lucy Pearl, he didn't know a name yet. He didn't have a name for the group, but he had an idea to do a group. And I was like, I think this is brilliant. I think Tribe Called Quest meets En Vogue meets Tony. Tony makes a lot of sense. And Raphael, I've known you since we were kids, since 16 years old. And I trust you. So I think this is a great thing. So I called Bob. I fired her. And the following day, I called Bob Jameson in New York. And I said, Bob, there's this group idea that Raphael has. And I think it's so special. And I think it's just I think we're going to make history. And he said, well, what is the name of the group? And I said, well, there's no name yet, but he has an idea to do a group, super group. And I just think it makes sense. And he said, well, I don't agree. I don't think it's going to work. And I said, well, sir, I got to turn you down. I got to turn down your offer. So I turned down RCA and I signed with Pookie Records, which is Raphael. And I signed to his label it was another production deal. So Pookie Records through, I want to say Left Bank Management is the Alan Kovac, whatever his label was at the time, because he had a management side and he had a label side. So we signed to the label side, and it was hell. Great album, great, brilliant work in the studio, was so brilliant, but I didn't look at my contract and underline things and do the details that I usually do with a contract. So it just didn't work out. It didn't work out because Raphael didn't want to pay me what he deserved, what I deserved again. So
yeah, because we always, a lot of fans always ask, damn, that was a classic album.
It was classic.
Not just Dance Tonight and Don't Mess With My Man, which I'm looking right here. I can't believe that wasn't higher on the charts. again, here in DC, that was played everywhere.
Everywhere, yes.
I don't understand how that song. I don't even want to say what it did on the charts.
You know, it's funny. It's funny, Malik. Overseas. So don't let go. Don't let go. Dawn, you're in Vogue land. Dance Tonight did well here.
Right.
In the States, it was huge. Overseas, it was nothing. You could not buy a hit over there for nothing with that song. As soon as we put out Don't Mess With My Man, it was huge overseas. It was #1. Over here,
I like that.
Over here in the States,
I like that song better. I said I like that song better than Dance Tonight.
Yeah, but it didn't do well here for some reason. It didn't do well.
Both of them are great, but I always like you're singing. Like you kill it on that in the video and everything.
Thank you so much. I felt great about the whole project. It was such a labor of love. It's so eclectic and different. And me and Raphael together, our voices, just everything about that project was so beautiful. And it was not planned. And we didn't go in the studio and say, we're going to make this type of album, or we're going to have this kind of sound, or it was just work. And that was it. It was just beautiful.
It was a great album for like a young adult. I'm a young adult at this time, and it was just down to the album cover. I thought it was just beautiful.
Thank you. I love that project. And unfortunately, it was about greed again, and jealousy with Raphael. It was more jealousy with me because he was used to getting the attention, and here you have a girl in the group, and it's like, what about me? He kept asking that to different journalists that we'd be doing interviews with, and I'm like, wow, you are really showing your ass. You kind of
work. Display like you was really coming out of your I don't want to say shell because you always did your thing, but it seemed like, man, I could see you being like this huge star, like on your own. The way from the look, I love the way that you used to dress. Down
Thank
to the
you so much.
Thank
you so much.
You had a star quality, and I no disrespect, and I don't want you to take this, but I'm gonna be honest. When I think of En Vogue, I don't know why, can't explain it, but I always think of Dawn Robinson. Like she's always been the face of En Vogue.
Thank you so much.
I can't explain that. If you wanted me to go into detail, I can't. Like I don't know why. That's just I love Cindy. I love Cindy. I love Max. I love Terry. They all dope. They all got great voices. But if you get a bunch of me and my homeboys here in DC, and you ask them who was their favorite member from En Vogue, they're gonna say Dawn Robinson. I'll be honest.
Well, you started to say as if I was gonna argue with you, but when I argue with you, I have an opinion, and I'm not gonna sit here and let you say something that is not true. So that's why
you need to listen to what I'm saying.
Come on now, you listen to me, Malik. You listen to me. So, but I agree with you on that part because I think it's because I did the biggest hits in the group, and I think I had the fire that it took to propel us. I think I had that like feistiness, and it would come through in the videos. And not that we all didn't have a thing, but my thing was fire. I was feisty. I was not going to tolerate certain things. So you would see my anger. You would see my hell no, we're not going to take it, that we're not getting paid well enough. You would see that come out. Not what do you say? What do you call it? When you're outright thinking a thought and you think it and you project that.
Subconsciously.
Yeah, subconsciously, exactly. We come out subconsciously. Because I was pissed off that here we are. I remember leaving the video set from Free Your Mind. My sister was there. She's actually in the video. So she's in the crowd and she's got this thing on her head and she does something. She's real sexy in the video. And I was holding my nephew. What'd you say?
I didn't know that was just, I know who you talk about.
Yeah, my sister's in it. And I was holding my nephew while she was doing her scene. And I was looking around at everybody like, this is crazy. Like we're going home broke. You know, when I got in my car to leave the set that day, I was like, where's the money? Where's the freaking money? Like what?
No way we would have thought that. Like outside looking in, to me,
exactly.
you guys were superstars. Like again, and even to what you're saying, I'm gonna be honest. And again, what I'm saying is my opinion, but I got a couple of brothers and sisters, they would attest to this. We thought you guys were bigger than SWV. Like we looked at En Vogue, and no disrespect, because ask anybody Coco is my girl. All them girls are phenomenal. But I just thought, to me, and here in DC, in my world, my little world growing up, En Vogue were megastars, and SWV was stars. They were like the around the way girls. They were like the round we like. But that in my little world. That's why I say that, you know.
Malik, no, it's not in your little world. You're absolutely right, because their image, they always said that they are the around the way girls, sisters with attitude, sisters with voices. I'm sorry, sisters with voices. So they did, even their album cover was jeans, you know what I mean? So you're absolutely right. Your perception is right. Don't get me wrong, but when it came to sales, I don't even know how to explain that part. We had, our videos were so much, well, it took us to get to, you can't see it from here, but to get to, can you see?
Yeah,
that's the Funky Divas album.
That's it.
And so when we,
I have that. I own all your projects. Let that be known. I own every.
Well, I only know you own them. Thank you.
Except after you left. No,
yeah, I got you. But what I was showing you that for is to say, it took us to get to that second album for us to come up a notch. Our class rose to a different level. Our videos got better. I love Don't Go on the Desert. I think that was really beautiful. But by the time we got to Free Your Mind, okay, so by the time we got to that album cover, Funky Divas album cover, we had a level of class that was, now we became En Vogue. Like I said, we had a team of our hair people, our makeup artists. We were on fire.
Megastars. I'm telling you, to us, you were megastars. You guys wasn't stars. You was megastars.
We came up a notch. So we came up a few notches. So that perception became, we got bigger. Our image got bigger than the fact that we were not making money. Our image got bigger than our contract. We were only making 2 pennies. We never renegotiated. So that's what I say. Our image was big. Our image was huge. And from the outside looking in, oh my God, these girls are rich as shit. They must, each of them own mansions.
That's what I was
own, you know, Rolls Royces and Jaguars, and they're rolling around with MC, you know. I remember having a meeting with Chris Stokes. And Chris Stokes had, what is that group?
Mature and B2K.
B2K, yes, exactly. And he said he said, you guys have never had the monetary. He said, you had all the fame in the world. You were huge. If there's life on other planets, they know who En Vogue is.
Yes.
But you guys do not have, I want you to have the kind of lifestyle that when you step out of the grocery store, or out of the car to the grocery store, you got paparazzi all around you.
Right.
You never had that. You don't have the money that matches that fame. So the perception was, he said, nobody thinks that you guys are that kind of big, huge stars because you don't look like Britney Spears money. You don't have the press outside the bank when you come out and they're taking pictures of you at dinner, coming out of a club like Rihanna or Beyonce or Pink. You feel me?
I never looked at it like that.
Yeah, so that is why SWV didn't have that kind of fame either, but apparently their money spoke differently.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it just seemed like you crossed over more. It just seemed like you were more of a cross. Like, you guys,
they didn't cross over at all. We did cross over. Yeah, they didn't. They weren't taught like that.
That's what I was saying. Like, I always looked at the artist, the band, the group, artist, whatever you want to call it.
But their contract said different.
No argument there.
There you go. So that's the difference. They had a better. I asked her. I said, "What? How is that? How did you guys sold that much that you were rich off your first album?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "We had a female manager that was a beast. She didn't play. She knew that if we didn't get paid, she didn't get paid." I was like, "Oh my! Who's your manager?"
Hey, those points. A lot of people forget about those points. Those points.
The points and the percentages. Yes, exactly. So. I don't know what to tell you, but the perception was that we were rich and that we weren't, and the reality was that we were not.
Right.
No.
Okay. Well, look, let's move on a little bit. I remember also around this time, I remember seeing you on I believe it was a magazine cover, but this like threw me for a loop when I saw that you were signing with Aftermath. And around this time.
No, it wasn't Math. It wasn't Aftermath. I never signed with Aftermath. I signed with Jimmy Iovine. I signed Interscope.
Interscope. See, okay. I apologize again.
That's okay.
I remember you that was surprising. Like you stepping outside of Atlantic Records and you moving over to Interscope, and around that time you finally released your first project, which was long overdue. I've been waiting for this project for years.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
When it came out, it gave me just what I asked for. That Dawn project.
Oh my goodness.
That's what I asked for.
Wow.
Talk about finally getting, because you mentioned earlier about you wanted to release this solo project, and boom, you hear over at Interscope. I apologize, not Aftermath. But you over here.
But this is the thing. You got a few things that are a mishap here. So I went from En Vogue, which was Atlantic, and then I signed to Raphael. So I didn't go straight from, because you just said you went from Atlantic to Interscope. So I didn't do that. But Raphael, I'm sorry. What is it? I signed, my solo deal was with a label called Q Records. QVC home shopping channel on TV. Wanted to get into the music business, and that's who I signed with. So that album came out under QVC, not Interscope.
Okay.
So I went from Lucy Pearl to Interscope, and because Dr. Dre, this is how I looked at it. My manager and I talked about it. By now, I had a new manager named Trudy Green. Trudy Green had Rolling Stone. She had all these pop groups, and I wanted to be with her because I thought she could take me where I needed to be. So she said, Dawn, I don't think you need to sign to Aftermath, because Aftermath is too new of a label. It was brand new that year. Dr. Dre hadn't proven himself as a label yet.
At that time,
if you get on that label and they fall apart, then you're stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's your producer and he's your label, and you have a problem with creative or being in the studio with him, then who do you go to? Because if he's your label and your manager and your producer, then you have no one to turn to. There's no one to go to bat for you, in a sense. So I didn't sign to Interscope, to Aftermath. I signed to Interscope. That didn't work out because Dr. Dre was working on. He was working on Eminem's album, Marshall Mathers' first album.
Mm-hmm.
That was a huge project. As we know, he became the biggest rapper ever at that time. And he was working on King T. He was working on all these other rappers. And he wasn't getting in the studio with me as much as I needed. So every day I'd come in and I'd work with all these other people that he had, but never him. It was never me and Dr. Dre, except when we did the Firm Biz thing.
Oh, yeah. How could I forget about that with Nas?
Something else. Yeah. Right.
Oh, my goodness. That is a classic. That is a classic.
Thank you. So I did all these projects with everybody else, but it wasn't him and I, working on my stuff. So after a year, I was like, okay. My manager said, she went to Jimmy Iovine and she said, we got to get Dawn out of there because it's not working. She's just sitting around. She's not really working as much with Dr. Dre as she is everybody else. So I did some great songs out of there, but they didn't end up on my record. So when I got to, then I went and signed to Q Home Shopping Club. And that's exactly, so Q Records, they wanted to be in the music business. They signed me to the R&B side. They signed Jimmy, what's his name? Dawn?
Jimmy Iovine?
No, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean Jimmy. Oh, New Kids on the Block. The youngest one in New Kids on the Block.
I'm lost. Yeah, I'm not.
New Kids on the Block. Joey McIntyre. And
that's the one that's saying, "Please don't go.
Please don't go, girl.
Please don't go." Yeah. I think I like that song. Right
yeah,
there.
Exactly. So he was doing a solo album, and he called me one day, and he was like, "Dawn, this is after 9/11. First of all, the Q Home Shopping Club called me. Q Records called me and said, okay, so we just let the guy who signed you to our label, we had to let him go. His name is Alan Rubens. He has been embezzling money from our company.
I've heard that name. I've heard he's big in the music industry.
Yeah, he was embezzling money. And so they had to let him go. And when the person that signed you to a label is gone, the love for you and the attention that you're getting is gone. Because they loved me at Cube Hope. It was just falling apart. They were like, this is not working. And so they dropped Joey first, and then they dropped me about 6 months later. And also in between there, you got 9/11 happened. So everything was just falling apart. It wasn't the right time.
That was a really, I feel like that's one of those albums that got lost in the shuffle. I love the track.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have it. I remember it. Like I said, I might forget what label it came out on, but like I said, I remember that seeing that on Video, Soul, BT, and it was a dope. I thought it was a dope project.
Well, I didn't do any. I did one video for Envious. The first single was Envious, and then I didn't do any more singles. By then it was over, so I didn't get to do Set It Off. Would have been a great video. Get Up Again would have been a great video. There's some great songs on that album. Thank you. I'm very proud, but no, it didn't get the light that it needed. It deserved.
Yeah, it was a dope project. So
thank you.
We go fast forward a little bit. Here it is. It's 2013.
Okay, wait a minute, Malik. Now it's been over 2 hours.
We done.
Hour and a half.
Oh yeah, we done. Yeah, pretty much.
No, go ahead. Ask your last. I'm just saying that because I have another call. Because you said an hour.
Oh, I apologize. I'm gonna edit
That's
all
all right.
this.
We're good. We're talking. It's good. But I'm just letting you know.
Okay. So look, here it is. We about to wrap it up. I just wanted to ask you, like, how do you, feel about the current state of R&B today?
Current R&B. Ooh, I can't even say that I know what's out there. I'm kind of embarrassed because I wasn't prepared for that question. I know the songs, but I don't know the artist. Just put it that way. If you name some people, why don't you name some people and then I'll tell you if I know what they've done, what they're doing.
I mean, I'm just asking. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I still listen to 90s R&B like it just came out yesterday. But yeah, Ari Lennox. You go to Ari Lennox. You got Jasmine Sullivan.
Jasmine is a beast. She's amazing. That girl's dope as hell.
You got her.
Lettucey. I love Lettucey. I like her.
It's you got some artists, but personally, a lot of people say that the music of today, the rhythm and blues of today, it just doesn't give you that feeling that it once did.
I think people are just resisting because it's new music. I think it's, when we were kids, we used to hear adults saying, you guys turn that music off. Ooh, music has changed. It's different, and so I think people just resist because it's not the 90s. It's like they want to hold on to the 90s. Music has changed and it's just different. And I think there's some great artists out there because I hear their songs and I like them. There's some stuff that Rihanna does that I love. There's some stuff that I can't necessarily say. I love Cardi B because I think she's silly and I love her whole thing. I love when she talks. She's just like, so what's up? So like, you know what? So like you gotta like, so everything is like this and it's all like New York and it's all like that. But I can't say that I love WAP. I think she's not responsible when it comes to putting out lyrics because kids are gonna read that. Listen, I should say to that stuff. So I'm always thinking on that level, and she's probably gonna say, "Well, what do you know? Because you're like old and stuff." Well, maybe I am, but I do feel responsible. She's got a daughter now, and I think about our children, being over sexualized and stuff. So I'm always conscious of that as an artist, whatever I put out, old or not. Yeah, and I have hits, so I can say how I see the business.
Talk your stuff, and one thing about you guys.
I'm not putting her down. Like I said, I love her.
I
She's a great artist, but I am responsible, and as an artist, I think we all should be. So I can't tell you the rap today, young rap artists, all this mumble rap and stuff that they call it. I can't even. There's no Jay-Z's. Like there's no.
You ever think we're going to get back to that? No, I agree. Not to cut you off, but I wanted to ask this question. Like, do you ever think we're going to get back to that era where we're going to have all these great, girl groups like we mentioned, Jade, En Vogue, SWV, just the gamut? It's just so many. You think we're ever going to get back to that point?
We're going to get onto something new. We're not going to go back to what we did, but I think everything that goes around comes right back. Like blue jeans at one time had bell bottoms like this, then they came skinny, then they came this, then they came that. Now they're this again. You know what I mean? Everything changes and comes around in circles. For a while, it went from the 60s girl groups to the 70s with Emotions and Sister Sledge and like you said, the Pointer Sisters. And then it was the 80s where there were no black girl groups pretty much at all except the cover girls. But Sweet Sensation, I want to say, was black girls too. There may have been Latina girls as well. And then there was Expose and the Bangles, like I said, and the Go-Go's. Oh, and I forgot LaBelle back in the 70s as well. And then so the 90s came and it was a whole explosion of us again. Now there's no girl groups. I haven't seen in 2000 Danity Kane.
That didn't last.
You know, but are there any R. Kellys anymore? Like, you know, where's the Maxwells? Where's the Luther Vandrosses? Like, we can say there's no white girl groups either. There's no Bangles girl. They were playing instruments.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's no groups like that right now that are white girls that are playing instruments. So it's just, I think music is taking a turn. I think because the industry had such a big hit, it got hit because it had to, the playing field had to be leveled. The labels were getting all the money and the artists weren't getting shit. And Napster came along and wiped them out. Took everything by surprise. And I think now independent artists are coming around and they're saying, you know what? I don't need a major label to do anything. Somebody made a joke the other day and said, Dawn is too old. Well, should she think somebody's going to sign her? You know, at this age, they're going to sign her to a major deal. And I was like, dumb shit. I don't need a major deal. I don't need a major label to sign me to any. Are you kidding me? Like, who needs a major label now? I'd be crazy to go back to what broke me in the first place. They ripped us off.
That's you don't know what the hell they talking about.
Yes, they do. Because these are the people that were angry that I left in the first place. This has to be, it wasn't a fan. Because fans don't talk like that. It had to be our producer. She's too old. What she thinks somebody's good. Artists don't talk. I'm sorry. Fans don't talk about labels. Right. They don't know that language. So that's why I knew it was somebody on the inside. And I told the fan to go back and tell that person that is on the inside that I'm not smart. I'm smarter than the average artist. And I'm not going to, I'm sorry. I'm smarter than the girls that are in my group. The former girls in my group, and I'm not the average artist, and I'm not going to go out, and so I'm not excited about signing with the majors anymore.
You don't need it.
Back in the day, that was what I did back then because I was excited and I was grateful for that, right? So I'm not trying to sign with a major today. You go right to what is it? I keep forgetting to bring my notes with me, but there's so many great labels, online labels. I have social media. That's where you build up your name with the fans again. And that's what I'm doing right now. Any music that I drop tomorrow is going to be a hit because I have done the work. 85. Now you're my 87th, I should say, interview. 87 interviews in 4 months now.
That's crazy. Yeah.
It's a lot. And I don't need the majors to do anything for me. The majors are trying to figure themselves out. They're all discombobulated right now. They don't know if they should stay or they should consolidate or if they should let go of this department or that department, or, you know, they're always confused and they don't know what they're doing. So why would I want to be there? I go straight to the fans myself directly, and I don't need, so I think things are coming around now where fans are going to get back to real music. I shouldn't even say that. Oh, that's so rude.
Let me interject.
No.
I want to say this.
No, I got to clear this up. I'm sorry. I got to do this because I said real music. I'm getting back to, as if to say that they're not doing real music. That's not true. I'm not going to do that to them. That's not right. It's not right. Creatively, they're doing their thing. And for this era of 2000, that was the type of music that they were doing. So the Stevie Wonders of the world are still out there. The Shaka Khans, the Rufus Shaka Khans are still out there. It's just a matter of now music is going to come around full circle and it'll come back to that. So thank you for letting me clear that up. Yeah.
I wasn't going to really correct you. I just wanted to add, like.
But I had to correct myself because I just left that out there, and I'm not going to do that for people to watch your interview and say, "What does she mean by real music?" I like
no. But to be honest, a lot of people feel that way. But let me say this:
I had to
a lot of people
myself up.
Understand. A lot of people say the problem that they find with a lot of current music is not the actual music. We miss the voices. We miss the voices. If you look at, like you mentioned, music from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the music from the 60s didn't sound like the 50s. The 70s didn't sound like the 60s. The 80s, we start adding more technology. We kind of stripped down the live instrumentation. The 90s, but all of you guys had very distinctive voices. You had these great singers. Now we don't have those voices that brings us in. Change the music. Like, let me finish. I don't mind. Change the music. Keep the music. Keep the music. Keep what you're doing. Don't change the music. Like, whatever you guys are singing, that's fine. But can we get those voices back? Can we get those pure, raw, sultry voices? That's what we're missing. And these are the conversations that a lot of people my age, older, slightly younger, that we have. These are one of the things that we miss. We miss those raw voices that wasn't, that wasn't studio enhanced. There's a connection that you have with an artist such as yourself, such as Coco. When we hear that, we know that, like, this is raw vocals. She's singing from her soul. So that's one of the things, to be honest, that's the main problem that we really have. We don't mind the music. Keep the music. Just, can we get them singing? Can they start singing again? That's it.
That's not true, though. So can I talk? Are you done?
No.
Lettucey, we just talked about her. That baby.
Oh, no. Yeah.
If you're saying girl groups, or you're just saying in general, please be clear
mainstream,
what you're saying.
Mainstream. We want to hear that. Like,
there is no mainstream because there's no labels. The labels are shit. They're falling apart. They can't even keep themselves going. So how are they going to support artists? You have Rihanna. You have Beyonce. To me, they are singing. I like their voices. I don't think you can't compare them and say that they are not in vogue, because they're not in vogue. Nobody's in vogue. SWV wasn't in vogue.
Right.
Jade wasn't in vogue. Jade wasn't SWV. They're not anybody. Nobody is nobody. Everybody has their own distinct lane. So to take away from these artists today and say that they're not singing, like you just said, that's not true. There are artists out there that are doing their thing. There's incredible artists that are really singing and doing their thing. It just takes the passion, I think, has to come back to music. The musicianship as well. I think live instrumentation, Denny and Tommy, like I said, Denny didn't play like Tommy, but Tommy brought that piano. Then they would have live drummers come in. Lucy Pro's project, we had live instrumentation.
I could tell.
That matters. Yeah, that really matters. Yeah. So, if you're going to say, I'm sorry, I think that Jasmine Sullivan is one of the best she is so incredible. I think right now, Jennifer Hudson, too.
She's amazing. Jasmine Sullivan's amazing.
I'm sorry, I love Jennifer Hudson, but I think that Jasmine should have been chosen to play Aretha Franklin, because Jasmine sounds she's got that old soul behind her voice a little bit back there. And she looks, nose-wise, she looks like Aretha Franklin. She has her nose. So she looks more, she's got a flat face and she's got that nose like Aretha. So I just thought, and she's kind of chubby like her, like she had that fullness about her look that I thought would be better suited for Aretha. But you got a lot of singers. You got, what's her name? I'm drawing a blank, but what's the girl from Floetry? Marsha Ambrosius. Come on. You got a lot of great music, great artists that are out today.
No,
excuse me, I'm so sorry again. Oh, my parents got it.
It's just like we missed the days where we missed the days where we didn't have to search for it. Like, it was just on the radio, and it was a balance. Like, keep the TLC, keep the whatever, the Beyonces, but just give us more of a balance. Like TLC wasn't involved.
There's no balance because you have to pay radio. You can't pay radio if you don't have a label giving you the money to do so. All of this stuff is attached to other things. It's not just the artist. This payola, it's all called payola. You got to pay to play. If you don't have the money to do that, you're not going to be on the radio. There's all this stuff going on. So now I think it's, like I said, it's coming full circle. Just give it some time. Don't give up on music. And there's going to be different artists. It's just different. That's all. And so, yeah, it's going to come around again. I was going to say, I'm going to do music. I'm going to do new music, and bring back that. I know what you're saying. There's a passion. that was in music in the 90s. And we don't hear that today. It was in the 70s too. Marvin Gaye? Please. Where's he? Where's Marvin Gaye now?
It was just like, back in the day, it was just like there in your face. And the artists that you mentioned, as dope as they are, I can name more. I can go to Vivian Green and we can keep going. It's just, I just miss when it was just like right there in my face. Like it was, it was just right there. I didn't have to search. And it was just such of a balance. Like, even in hip hop, that's one of the things that we just miss. We know there's great talent. It's great. People say, oh, there's no more great hip hop. It's a lot of great hip hop. I feel like we're in a golden era. That's the genre that I cover for the most part. But you have to search for it. You have to be tapped in. If you're a casual music listener, you're not going to know of these artists. A casual music listener, they knew about En Vogue. They just don't know about some of the artists that
like I told you, the industry is changing. It's not just the artists. If you don't have the money to pay radio's not going to play you.
But the fans, most fans, they want to hear what they go have. They don't understand that, And even me, I'm just learning a lot of this stuff as I talk to artists such as yourself. We want to hear what we want to hear, but I get it. You got to pay to play.
Well, the artists that we're paying, the labels that we're paying to make sure that they're artists, because they want to make money.
Right.
So they don't care about the music, and they don't care if the fans don't hear it, but they do care about the artists that they have, that they can pay radio to play. That's why you hear it every hour. You hear the same song over and over, which for us worked. Thank you, Jesus, that they kept playing Free Your Mind. Thank you that they kept playing Never Gonna Get It or Hold On. Had they not done that pay to play thing, you wouldn't have heard of En Vogue. It's just, that's a fact. We did, especially then, because we didn't have social media. So
thank goodness y'all had some phenomenal talent.
Yes, we did. Thank you. Thank you.
We didn't mind.
So I got to get going, but thank you so much, Malik, for having me today.
It's an honor to have you on the platform, Miss Dawn Robinson, the legend, the icon. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And, I hope you have a good night and
you too.
Take care.